Uh, and I mean, I could hear it in comparison to you. So, either way. Couple disclaimers before I get into this tier list. Well, not really disclaimers, but notes I want to say ahead of time. One is, I know this is probably cringe for long-term fans, but there will be comparisons I make to stuff in Persona 5 Royal, because I only have two games of the series, two mainline games of the series is reference for to like frame things. And so I know that this game came first, I know that these characters came first, but I will certainly in certain situations compare them, like the confidants and stuff, as I'm still gaining an understanding on how stuff like Arcana are interpreted as characters. Another thing I want to note is I haven't read a lot about other people talking about the themes of this game or the games in general. So I have my own conclusions I've drawn from going through the story twice. Because I went through New Game Plus also. And I personally, a lot of what I got out of the story is that Persona 3 is about, maybe not solely about, but it's about loss. It's about grief. It's about moving on it's about the experience of losing somebody and moving on after losing somebody. And I think it's worth noting because I'm probably going to mention it in a lot of characters, because there's a lot of characters that have or do go through that. I don't know why they picked the order that they are here in this, because the first character here is not the one. Oh, they're probably alphabetical. I guess I will. Lost. Oh. I will start with characters that I feel like I want to go less important to more important, because it'd be weird to end with some minor characters. So I'll start with characters that are not at all social links. So the first one doesn't have a name. She runs the antique shop in the town, which they now call
Shinsuodo Antiques.
Mayoido Antiques. So they changed the name. Shinshoido is the original. So Mayodo Antique. She doesn't have a name. She does have a voice actor, though not a lot of lines are said.
Oh, was it clear that Yeah, you said that my experiences with the original ones.
Yeah, I mentioned that.
So any discrepancies is that.
Yeah.
I have not played Reload.
Yeah, I'm sure you'll get to it. And it's not like that's any sort of meaningful thing that they changed the name. But either way, I do think from my understanding, they fleshed her out a little more than they did. Maybe. I don't know. Like I said, she has a voice actress now, and actually it's I think it's Kawakami is the voice actor.
Ooh.
For Kiwakami. But not a lot of lines. They don't have a lot fleshed out in general with shopkeepers, but based on talking to her, she's familiar with personas and persona using, and the dark hour and shadows and all of that. And it is all but spelled out that she wrote a number of reports you find about the experiment 10 years ago, and she implies she was a part of those experiments. It's not clear if she was a scientist if she was some other staff person that was just taking the notes for it. She's very mysterious, and I wish we had a name. She kind of has a bit of a I should put her out. I'm not putting her necessarily at this tier, just so people know who I'm talking about. She kind of has a what I describe as like a librarian aesthetic, like the stereotypical one. And no, that's not me though. That doesn't look like me. But she otherwise, I do like her. I like her design. I like the personality they give her. She kind of has a bit of a, like... She's definitely made to be attractive to the player. And, like, older woman attractive. I don't want to spell it out, but... And with a character like her, it's hard to place because I still know so little because there's not a lot elaborated. And it's not fair to be like, oh, well, she's F tier because you don't know as much about her. But I think for a shop owner, she's just interesting enough that I actually would probably... I'd probably put her where I put her right here, B tier. That was on purpose. But... for reference, S tier are characters I love. A tiers are characters I really like. B tier are characters I like. C is kind of neutral. D is I dislike. F is I hate. So, that's where I'll place the antique shop owner. Next would be... let's see. I'm actually not just doing... Okay, so right now I'm doing characters that aren't party members, social link, or heavily connected to the story. So next would be... I'm just putting him here while I talk about him. Mr...
Edogawa?
Is Edogawa his name?
I don't remember.
Mr. Edogawa. Yes, that is his name.
Haha.
He is the nurse, the school nurse, but he also fills in as a substitute whenever other teachers are sick, which is very, very often. You probably see him the most out of any of the teachers. And he talks a lot because his special interest is magic. Just not like show like on stage magic, like magic throughout cultures and history, which is very important to the stories of the Persona games. I've seen people online who don't like how much he talks in his lessons, which baffles me because his feel the most important. He teaches you all about the arcana, what all the different arcanas mean, or the major arcanas. He teaches you how to do a one-card reading. He also teaches you like just the origins of magic in different societies, which is all kind of tied to it. He's also very creepy. He makes me a little unsettled. And at first I didn't like him because of that, but I like his lessons. And he also had a side thing in the game, in the original game, where after you went to Tartarus, you could visit him and he would relieve your weariness, or for lack of a better word, from Tartarus. But that mechanic doesn't exist anymore. So he just...
You could get sick before.
Yeah.
If you work too hard.
Yeah, now his purpose is if you see him the day after visiting, he will give you a medicine that raises your courage. I almost called it guts. This is the wrong persona. So, that being said, I did say he makes me uncomfortable, but I do appreciate him as a character. He grew on me. He probably would have started at about a D for me. And I think he's around a low A, high B. I'll put a low A because of his. I feel he's important, and
he's voiced by Joker's voice actor.
Oh, I would not have noticed because Joker says so few lines. I guess I know it's Joker shouting, "Now ravish them!" But
Kappa.
That's about all I can picture of his voice is that in Persona. So
yeah.
But okay, so next. Oh God, it's this. I need to pull up the teachers' names because.
Who are you going for, Miss Oinushi?
No, Mr. E. I know he was called.
Ono, the history teacher, or Ikoda, the classic literature one.
I guess it's Ikoda. It's this guy.
Yeah, that's Ikoda. I don't know where you're grabbing from, but yeah, that's Ikoda.
I'm trying to go in order through the list, but right now doing characters that are not social links or story.
I just wasn't sure of who you were gonna pick.
So I mean, I guess he's kind of story relevant a little. Not really. One arc, he has a bit of a role. He's the literature teacher. He is an absolute piece of shit. Like, fuck this guy. When they find out a missing girl may have committed suicide, rather than him trying to report anything, he wants to brush it under the rug because it's better for the school's reputation. And, like, honestly, he might be my most hated character in the game, and I don't know, though, if that's good or bad. Because I think the point is he's an asshole. Like, he's not supposed to be likable. But he fulfills the role of being unlikable well, I think, to me. So I put him in C rank and not any lower. But I don't like this character. I think the story needs characters, of course, that I won't like. If I like every character, then it'd be kind of there'd be nobody to root against. So that's my opinion on Ikoda, Mr. Ikoda. Next, I'll skip. I feel that's story relevant. Officer, begin with a K.
Kurosawa, maybe?
Might be. Yeah, Kurosawa.
Oh, gosh. I swear I haven't played this game in a long time.
I mean, I was thinking Kawakami. I'm like, that's not it. So this is the person you buy weapons and equipment from. He's a police officer that knows that you're involved with something like important but doesn't know what, and decides no questions asked to sell weapons the police have confiscated. And like, I don't think it's implied. Yeah, it's not implied or at all true. I think that this is like Persona 5 rules where the weapons are models. I think they're real weapons. He's selling you real like machine guns and stuff. Super sketchy person. He also gets involved in one of the characters' Link episodes, but otherwise he's interesting, I guess. He's no Iwai. I don't have a lot to say about him. I wish they kind of gave him a little more to be like, why is this character helping me? And I kind of want to put him in D tier because of that. I don't think they fleshed, even as a minor character, I feel like they could have fleshed him out a little more. His motivations are very unclear. Other than just being like, need to help the world, I guess, and I assume that you guys are. Okay, so now Miss, it's like Eno or something.
Which one? The language teacher?
Math.
Math? Miyahara? The one with the triangle thing?
Yeah, Miyahara. Here, I have her right here in the.
Oh yeah, that's Miyahara.
I don't like that she has one massive tooth. Is it one massive tooth?
She got one big tooth.
Yeah, she has one big tooth that really she should probably see a dentist about, but I guess maybe she doesn't have dental. I don't like her afro. It's really weird and out of place. Her questions in the classes kind of, I don't know. They were the least interesting, and not just because math, but they were like weird math that, like, I don't know, like there was like calculus stuff. I was like, what is this? And I just honestly, she's probably the least interesting teacher to me. Next. This is here. I found a list of what it is. Mrs. Terauchi. So she is the English and Japanese teacher, according to the wiki. She, as far as I remember, like, the main thing she does is talk about her husband a lot. But she's really cute. Like, I love her design. And because she's really cute, I won't put her. I'll put her on low B. I don't know. There's not much to go on with these teachers. They don't have a lot of characterization. Even less than the Persona 5 teachers. And that Persona 5 teachers didn't mostly have much other than Kiwakami. Let's skip this one for reasons. This guy, Mr. Ono. Mr. Ono is the history teacher, I believe. Yes. And his thing is that he loves samurai, as you can see by his samurai helmet. And all school year, he constantly is like, I just want to get to the chapter on samurai. That's the next chapter. Which I don't know how every chapter was the chapter before that. Like, they were for months being like, that's the next chapter. And then he kept...
The Sengoku period, right?
Yeah, the Sengoku period. And then he just would randomly at times just be like, screw it, we're doing Sengoku period stuff. And I'm just like, you're absolutely the worst history teacher ever. And I've had some bad history teachers.
But sometimes he would get away with putting Sengoku era questions in the exams too, which is wild to me.
Yeah, he's not very good at doing his job. It's cool that he's passionate about a thing, but he has to teach all of history. He's a really bad teacher. He's funny though, and I will put him above her, Miss Ono. Miss Miyahara.
Did you purposely go over Miss Oniushi?
Over who?
Miss Oniushi, the science teacher.
Oh, no. Oh, there she is. No, that was an accident. I don't recall if there's anything particularly notable about her.
Yeah, she was so unnotable to you that you literally forgot her on the list.
No, I mean, I think she's another here that I think has a really cute design. But, like, the only thing notable I think of is she mattered for one of Elizabeth's requests. They wanted to see the shell of a man, and you have to get an anatomical model from her. And according to the wiki, she was a club advisor of the library committee, but I don't think that matters in this version.
Do you not get the options between swim class and
No,
track and
you don't
field
get
and
options.
stuff?
Nope.
Then it wouldn't matter.
Yeah, which is a shame. I'll have to play an older version to get that, but
Because what was the thing that she was the thing
library
for the club?
committee.
Yeah, so that's the guy with the glasses that you kept telling was Maruki coded.
Oh yeah, he's in the art club.
Yeah, he would be in the library club if you pick library instead.
Interesting. Either way, I've just already shown that Oinishi, I didn't even remember she existed. But it's mainly she was on the left side, I kind of missed her. But she's better than this hassle. So there. Okay, who's the pharmacist?
Taidara?
What?
I was gonna say, I forgot who he was completely.
He runs the pharmacy, so he's a pharmacist, I guess. So if
Yeah.
he probably doesn't have a name. Now that I think
Well,
about
I
it.
never bought any items from the pharmacy in my playthrough.
You needed some for at least 2 of Elizabeth's requests.
Do you?
Yeah.
Huh.
I could say them if you want, but otherwise.
No, it's fine. It's probably it's almost guaranteed to be in the original. Maybe I just misremembered him. I thought he was a character from another Persona game. That's why I was like confused.
Yeah, no, he's from the Aohige Pharmacy? I don't know.
Yeah, I recall now. It's next to the arcade, right?
Kinda. Next to the arcade is a CD shop that you can't go in. And the next to that is a pharmacy. And then next to that is the antique shop. I mean, again, he has very little characterization given. Even less than the antique shop owner. He doesn't seem like a good pharmacist. He's kind of lax. But he is selling drugs randomly to just people. And he does do, like, Saturday sales on medicine, which is a really weird thing to have a sale day on. I could put an F. I don't hate him. In fact, I need to move. I just realized D I designated as characters I don't like. So these would be C. You know what? No, though. He could be if the game didn't have him, I wouldn't care in the slightest. So he's in D.
That's rough.
I don't think I would have noticed.
No, that's fair. That's fair. It's very funny that D tier means that.
D tier means you could take them out and I wouldn't be sad. Like,
yeah, no, that's what I mean. Like, I'm picturing as soon as you put them in D tier, just then Thanos snapping out of existence.
Well, I mean, then I get free drugs, but no, just kidding. Okay, so when I was trying to find a tier list that had all the characters, and I saw this tier list, I at first didn't remember who the fuck this guy was.
The principal?
Yeah, the principal. He's in like 2 or 3 scenes.
Oh, the principal's great.
He's in like 2 or 3 scenes, and you can't see him outside of them, like the shop. So, like,
yeah,
I didn't remember him.
I love it. He's so emasculated by Mitsuru.
Yeah, I was gonna say the only thing I remember from him is Mitsuru gave a great speech, and he got so jealous he tried to give a better speech, and I was
but he ended up saying the exact same thing, just like in a different order.
Yeah, I was just like, what the heck? You're such a bad human, like adult.
I love it.
Student council president. No, I don't dislike him. He's not gonna.
So funny.
Because I don't feel he adds enough to the story. He's still going in C tier. He's not going in D tier. I'm not Thanos snapping him.
You would forget he exists if he were to be Thanos.
And in fact, out of all these characters in C tier, he is the highest. Actually, I'm almost convinced to put him on B tier. Your enthusiasm is.
No, it's fine. It's your tier list.
I don't know, but it's rubbing off, and now I'm kind of liking him more.
Yeah, well, it's just such a memorable scene where, like, because Mitsuru is objectively like a child, right? So this
Yeah.
guy's like,
Listen.
oh man, this child
Bottom B
more
tier.
eloquent than I am. I gotta do something about this.
Bottom B tier because he's no Kobayakawa. So they actually have a principal. I mean, that we have no evidence that he's competent, but we have evidence that he's not an absolute piece of human refuge.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
and he's
like
kind
literally,
of just goofy old man.
As far as principles are concerned.
As far as principles are concerned in Japanese media that I've experienced, he's probably one of the better ones. So.
I was gonna say, yeah, he's the gold standard in as far as principles in Japanese media that you've consumed, I'm sure.
Okay. This teacher.
I don't even recognize him.
Yeah, I need to check who he is again.
Like, he just looks like he's one of the Karijo's bodyguards or something.
Mr. Takanazuki? He's the physics teacher.
Oh, God.
I remembered his model. I don't remember a single interaction with him or question.
Yeah, I don't remember him either at all.
I'm sorry, you could be Thanos snapped, and I wouldn't have even known. Like, bottom, because at least I remember the other two.
Yeah.
Sorry, bro. He's such a generic design too. He looks like he could just be an NPC, like a nameless NPC.
Yeah, he literally looks like an NPC in another Atlas game.
So that's all like the teachers and shopkeepers that don't have any real importance. The next one I actually want to do is where was it? Thought I had somebody I wanted to do that was. I guess I will do. No, I don't want to do any of that. I'll do. Let's do party members because it's hard to talk about a lot of other characters without talking about party members. And I'm doing them in order that you more or less meet them. Or rather, order they join the party, more or less. So that means we're starting with lover or hater. It's I'm mind blanking. Inheritance. Why is my mind blanking? This is embarrassing. She's a party member. Yukari. Wow.
Okay, I'm back.
Well, welcome back. You missed me entirely blanking on Yukari's name.
You forgot Yukari's name?
I don't know why.
Wow, Yukari.
Maybe I'm distracted by the absolute killer song in the background.
This is, what's it called? Memories of Life or something?
This is Memories of You, which is
Memories
very close.
of You.
Yeah, I almost wanted to do Because I Will Protect You, but I couldn't find a loop of that, and it was awkward just looping a 5-minute track.
Yeah.
That has an audible, like, end point.
Yeah.
But Because I Will Protect You, honestly, is what I really wanted for this. I looked, though, I couldn't find them. That's the emotional song that plays during social links. But, so...
Miss Takeba, what do you have to say about her?
Yukari, I'm doing the party members right now in order that you gain them. So Yukari's first. She's the Lover's Arcana. So she is, in a way, I guess, the An of the game. In a way. Yukari is... So I know that she has a big fan base. I also know I'm not alone in not really loving her. She's kind of a bitch.
Yeah, no, I was gonna say, Yukari has as much of a hate base as she does a fan base.
Yeah, which is like, I guess I can see why for me, the reason why she seemed likable, I feel like, is just, oh, she's the girly girl. Like Anne was, and people love Anne, even though I think Anne is probably the least interesting female character, but still very interesting in 5. Yukari is more, honestly, in some ways more interesting than Anne because she's a little more flawed. Anne has flaws, but her flaws are more like self-deprecating flaws, not ones that hurt those around her. Yukari's flaws are that she can be mean.
Oh, she's super mean.
Most of the game, she spends calling the character Junpei Stupe, which, granted, he calls her Yucatan, which is kind of a bit much to use the honorific tan on her without her consent. But, like, I'm not sure it calls for the Stupe back, and she's otherwise just absolute shitty to him 90% of the game. She's really mean to Mitsuru until events in November. She's on and off mean to Makoto, main character. She, like, at some point she's mean to... There's everybody she's mean to at some point.
Yeah, she's mean to Aigis.
I think she's maybe not mean to
Ken.
Well, maybe not to Ken. Maybe not to Dog either.
Yeah, Koromaru.
But like, she's mean to
Koromaru.
There's a certain point that like she'd be a villain if she like kicked the dog. So like.
Yeah. If she ever showed any dislike for Koromaru, I think she wouldn't have a fan base.
Yeah. So, but she does have character growth. She does get nicer by the end, but I feel a lot of her meanness is uncalled for, and she went through shit, yeah. This is where I start talking about the loss thing, because she lost her dad in the accident 10 years ago, and she didn't even know what happened fully. She didn't have the full details. And which is why she's mean to Mitsuru, because she kind of blames Mitsuru, which is unfair. And she even when knowing it's not Mitsuru's fault, she still kind of blames Mitsuru because it's her grandfather's fault. But yeah, so it's certainly a direction people can go after loss, is to become cynical and not very easily able to connect with people, kind of push them away by meanness, which I kind of feel she does. She's, especially given she has a relationship with her mom that's kind of strained, which also very much confuses me, because in one of her social link conversations, she says she hasn't talked to her mom in 10 years. And she's 16, I think, so she hasn't talked to her mom since she was 6. That doesn't sound right to me.
That doesn't sound right. You're right when you put it in that perspective.
Yeah, no, I feel like there was something... I don't think that part of the conversation was correct. I think that they didn't think that through.
I didn't think about it like that. Dang. Like, if you're correct, yeah, that's weird.
No, I screenshotted it so I could show my roommate that she said she hasn't talked to her mom in 10 years.
That's so
And
funny.
I was just like, what? So I don't think that's true, but she has a strained relationship with her mom. Partly because her mom also was remarrying and stuff. And again, understandable. That is a hard thing for a kid to go through. It's hard losing a parent. I lost a dad too. It's hard watching your living parent move on. It's a mess. I don't think she handled it right. I do think she grew over the course of the game. And I don't absolutely hate her, but she is my least liked party member. And nothing in her social link made me want to date her. Thankfully, she's one of the few ones that doesn't really seem too upset about being turned down. But, Persona games are good at characters, not at party members. None of them really being I despise these characters. She's getting a B. Right below the principal, because the principal's growing with me at every moment that I live. So, like, an hour ago, I probably would have put her above the principal, but...
Yeah. No, it's just, every time you see that little dumpy face, you're like, oh, such a goober.
Yukari, one of Yukari's redeeming factors is she's very cute, especially in her theurgy animation, where she does an aerial archery move. I like her style of outfit she wears, but I can't like a character on looks alone. And if I knew her in real life, I wouldn't want to be her friend. Because even if she's not mean to me to my face, she's gonna be mean to me behind my back sometimes. So. The next character that... Oh yeah, and also I think it's worth mentioning, she's also a little wimp, afraid to shoot herself in the head with a fake gun that she knows won't kill her. Like,
yeah.
They know for a fact. Like, I get it. Maybe it's hard to look down the barrel of a gun and pull a trigger, but why are you looking down the barrel every time, girl?
Yeah, just close your eyes.
Or do the side of the head like most of them. You don't have to look at it.
Yeah.
Anyway, Junpei. Junpei is the strongest case of a character in the game of me going from hating to loving. Or from any drastic emotion of one to another.
Yeah, you hated him very quickly.
Oh, I really hated him at the beginning. At the beginning, he kind of felt like, to me, the worst parts of Ryuji and Morgana combined. He was like all the dumb, meat-headed, no-goals personality of Ryuji with the skirt chasing of Morgana. And it bugged me. I don't think there's anybody that I had a stronger change of. Like, even in Persona 5, I don't think anybody had a stronger change of opinion than I did for Junpei in this. It took a long time, because most of his character arc, he's not really getting any better. And he continually goes back and forth of being a dick to Makoto because he wants to be leader. But he also had zero, like, aspirations or goals. And it was hard for me to like him. But then he meets a certain character that we'll talk about soon. And it changes him. It gives him something to fight for. And his growth as a character is very notable in the conversations afterwards. It helps that this game has the linked episodes, which only can happen at certain points of the year. So they're not, like, separate from the character growth. So by the end of his linked episodes, he's talking about that he can't waste the time he has because of the loss he goes through. That I'll just say it because I'll get to the character soon. Chidori, another character that he falls in love with, who dies, ? And he has to go on without her. And this is one of the cases of the game showing grief real time, and it does it pretty well. He definitely has these massive swings back and forth between being too depressed to go out and wanting to just do something. One of my favorite points of the swing is one point, if you talk to your party member to talk about who can go out to Tartarus that night, they say that one person has plans and can't, and it's Junpei. But if you go check on Junpei, all he's doing is eating ramen alone. And, like, that moment, even though it's such a minor thing, like, this was not long after he lost somebody. It's very relatable to be like, he doesn't have plans. All he can bring himself to do is just eat something alone. And he's just getting by. And yeah. I think it's kind of powerful. there's these little things the game does that Persona, I think, in general is good at like that. These just little moments. That's usually good about. Sometimes they'll say that a character hasn't talked to their mom in 10 years. But, like, by the end of his thing, he's like, I understand why this character was upset at me for saying that I don't know where I'll be in 2 years. I need to not waste the time I have, and I need to start making plans. And he decided to start by trying to get back into baseball because he was good at that. And while I think he should have more goals than baseball because that's not a very sturdy career goal, there's this massive amounts of growth he has by then. And even like one of the last time he snaps at Makoto for something that isn't Makoto's fault, he almost immediately, after being really mean to Makoto for a moment, he almost immediately is like, I'm sorry, that wasn't fair. I shouldn't have said that. And it's a big difference between the start of the game, where he would get angry and then be pissed for like a week. So, by the end of the game, I grew to really love Junpei. He's not my favorite on the team, but it's definitely like Yukari I actually kind of liked at the start and kind of grew annoyed with her. So it kind of was a reverse. Junpei, do I want it high A or low S? High A. But I will say that at the start of the game, I would have put him an F, no questions. So that's a huge change. And he's going to be near the top of A, to be honest. Just because I want to be careful of how many I put into S. Though I might actually move him up to low S if I have less people than I expect in S.
Yeah.
So before I go to the next party member, I wanted to, because of the relevance, I want to talk about Chidori. Chidori is one of the villain group, Strega, whose goals are nebulously just to make sure Dark Hour doesn't end, and potentially let the world end. That's messed up. Chidori has so Chidori basically, like the other characters, found out that because she was experimented on, she's going to not live very long. And she has a comment that I think is meant to be literal, where she says that her persona lets her see when she is going to die, which is very, very, like, it's a lot to deal with. It's understandable why her only way of coping of it is to essentially go into a non-feeling state where she doesn't allow herself to feel any joy or happiness in anything. And she's a very interesting antagonistic character, because Junpei ends up falling in love with her, and she ends up kind of using that opportunity to try to take down the main characters. But then Junpei doesn't give up on her after they manage to disarm her, and continues to see her. And this is kind of like, it's a weird thing having her essentially a hostage, but one of the people kind of holding her hostage, but not really, is like constantly trying to be nice to her. But she hasn't really had anybody care about her in that way, as far as I can tell. And she kind of grows attached, but because of her desire not to be attached to anything because she's going to die, she tries to like shove it aside. But eventually, she's not able to. She sacrifices her life for Junpei. And I want to say again, the whole loss and grief thing, while she didn't lose somebody else, at least that's not really talked about, she kind of grieves her own life. for a lot of it. Because if you know you're going to die and it's not long after, you're going through a different version of grief. That's still grief. And it's almost a worse one, because there's nothing, you don't know if there's anything for you after there, because obviously it depends on your views of an afterlife, but like, at least with other grief, you know life will go on as hard as it is. And there's the light that one day you'll probably be okay, and she doesn't really have that. She sacrificed herself for Junpei, and due to Junpei's bond with her, from my understanding, because he started meaning so much to her, she would pour her healing energy into flowers he'd give her. And after her death, during the autopsy or something, the coroner put the flowers on her body, and it ended up seeping healing magic into her and brought her back to life. That only happens if you choose to give Junpei flowers to give to her. But I did feel it kind of cheapened her sacrifice, but at the same time, I didn't love that they fridged somebody in the game, that they killed off a female character for a male character's character development. But given everything she went through, it kind of makes sense, and it wasn't like it was out of her choice. And even apart from all the character growth that I think was done really well, look at her design. She has like a goth headband that looks like it has a knife through it. She is the best goth Lolita outfit I've ever seen. And she is an S rank because I really wished I could have her in my party the whole time. I also think she has the best evoker pose out of everybody. Most people shoot in the side of their head, aside from Yukari and Ken. And then her, which she goes under the jawline, which is so intense. Like, that's, I feel like, the most intense, like, the most terrifying way to do it. Because there's a lot I feel that could go wrong, and it would be miserable.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so now, next, back to the party member. The next one that usually joins the party, Akihiko. Who's, he's the, this doesn't have, they're not social links for the male characters, like Junpei wasn't either. So, but though I think he's the chariot for his persona.
Yeah, it's in the fancy route they have Arcana. So
yeah, I know they do there. He's the chariot, and Junpei is the magician, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
So, Junpei, in a lot of ways, though, is closer to Ryuji than... Not Junpei. Akihiko is closer to Ryuji than Junpei was, even though I kind of compared them a little. Because Akihiko is also kind of the musclehead athlete, in this case, boxing. I wouldn't say that. I'd say he's a little smarter, though he's not very self-aware. In one of his interactions with character Shinjiro, which we'll get to, he ends up he ends up completely ruining this chance that Shinjiro had that for some character growth that Mitsuru was working on. And Akihiko just walks in and casually says something really dumb and insensitive that ruins it. Which Mitsuru calls him like dumb meathead or something. I don't know, some insult. And Makoto has the option to also say that. By the way, I keep saying Makoto. Makoto's protagonist. And has the option to also say that, which I did. I was like, wow, dude. But at the same time, I think he's a very layered character for being a bit of a meathead. from my understanding, he was an orphan, and along with his sister, who, like, I think died in front of him. I don't remember for sure.
Uh-huh.
And him and the character Shinjiro that I get to, both, that was kind of their motivation, was this girl's death. And so he's already, like, that's already a lot of loss. He lost his parents somehow, maybe never knew them, but that's still awful. He lost his sister, he grew up in an orphanage, and then he loses a character who passes away over the course of the game, Akihiko, who I'll get to. And it was one of the most emotionally, like, charged moments of the game, I feel, was Akihiko going to Shinjiro's casket after the ceremony and everybody left, and just being like, hey, I went to your favorite, I think it was a ramen place that you used to go to when you skipped school, and then he just kind of starts emotionally yelling at the casket, why aren't you answering me? And, like, I, like, almost broke down there, because, like, yeah, it's not him being, like, dumb. He knows Shinjiro is dead, but it's really hard. He's going through the shock part of loss, and it's really hard. You just want it to be a dream, and he so much wanted to. And that's also the moment where his persona evolves, and he kind of, I think that basically when characters get new resolve, that happens. And yeah, so it's just a very powerful moment for me. Otherwise, a lot of his stuff is him standing up to bullies, but trying not to get in trouble for getting in fights. Which the police officer I mentioned was involved in, like, telling him to stop because he's going to get into, like, he's not going to be able to keep bailing him out. But overall, Akihiko is, like, a really good, like, big brother character that cares about everybody. And I don't think in some ways he's one of the less complex characters, but in some ways he's also one of the more complex characters. I think he's just not, in most cases, he's one of those characters that there's people like that too that are just not really good at showing emotions, but I feel like he's a very emotional character. And he uses it, he throws himself to his training to deal with it, which is a very understandable reaction to deal with trauma. Overall, I'd put him in A rank, probably just below Junpei. And next, we'll do Mitsuru. So Mitsuru is my wife. My wife. She's the one who I romanced the first playthrough. And I mean, there's not a ton of romance options in this. Like, I think there's like half as many as Persona 5 had. So it wasn't super hard to kind of narrow it down. There's a few that I was trying to decide between. And a lot of it, honestly, probably was that she was the first romanceable option I met that whose social link was locked behind a stat needing maxed out intelligence, and that challenge alone made me more interested. I was like, I gotta be smart for you. And so but she was basically the leader of the group before you join, and she's the heir to the is it Kuriko company?
What the last name of them?
Kuribo? Kirijo.
The Polonia plant.
Yeah, she's the heir to the Kirijo company.
Mm-hmm.
And so she's...
Which is an offshoot of the Nanjo company.
Was the Nanjo
relevant? Which is relevant for other games.
Oh, interesting. Well, she's the Empress persona like Haru was in 5. But whereas Haru's kind of the gentle side of the Empress persona, she's kind of the more stern side. She's definitely still a very compassionate person, but she's the make sure you do your homework, make sure you take care of your responsibilities, you need to be able to take care of yourself. Rather than just the kind of babying nurturing that I'd more associate with Haru.
Yeah, well, we joked about Mitsuru being the kind of person who would could like mention that your food was prepared wrong.
Yeah, in terms of dating, definitely was like I'd see her as the type that'd be like, excuse me, he asked for no pickles.
Yeah, because she knows that you wouldn't complain, but you know how much she didn't want the pickles.
Yeah, but I also do feel like she's also the type that would afterwards be like, you need to be able to speak up and do that yourself. I didn't say that when he talked about it, but like I also feel like
no, for sure, and still leave a good tip to the store because she's like, yeah, like you can get things wrong and still be worthy of a living wage.
Yeah, definitely, and while she's definitely the same arcana is Haru, I also would kind of compare her to Makoto. I mean, they're both student council president. They're both take on all responsibility to get perfect grades, think about their future, don't really have free time. They're those kind of those trope too.
And if anybody hasn't played Persona 5,
oh yeah, I'm at Persona 5.
Also the name of a female party member in that game.
Yeah, that's the Makoto I meant.
The protagonist in this one.
Makoto is gender neutral, but
yeah.
That's the
and
Makoto.
Just like you didn't specify which Makoto, so I didn't want them to think that you were talking about the main character.
It's dumb because I can like I'll think Makoto for both of them, and I never think about the fact that there's two Makotos.
Well, yeah, because like you said, it's truly gender neutral in such a way that my brain
that's
does the
Makoto.
same thing. Like,
that's also Makoto.
Makoto, and I knew.
Yeah. But overall, yeah, she's always busy. Never really has free time. The few interactions you get to see of it with free time, she doesn't really even know how to handle it.
Yeah. I've heard of this thing called burgers.
Oh yeah, her social link was absolutely ridiculous. As rank 1 was going to a ramen shop, and she's like, so this is ramen. I've always wanted to try it. I'm like, you live in Japan. Like, I get that you're rich, but rich people can have ramen.
Listen, if she asks for ramen, they just make her like a lobster bisque.
Well, I think she implies that she doesn't ever like think about what she wants for meals. She has somebody that just makes her meals.
Yeah.
Which what a way to live. I probably wouldn't mind that. I think trying to decide what I want to eat is sometimes the worst thing.
Yeah, that's how it is with my partner. That's why I do that. I just make food now.
Oh yeah, I mean,
he comes down and eats it.
I mean, I do HelloFresh, and I do have to pick 3 meals way ahead of time. But one, I get to pick them ahead of time when I'm like not trying to decide what I'm in the mood for now. I'm just trying to think of what seems like something that I probably won't have had recently that looks good. And then when I get my HelloFresh, how I decide which I will make for the 3 nights I'm going to be cooking it, I don't decide it based on the food or what I want in the moment. I decide ahead of time based off of how long it takes to make and how much time I have. Or like what commitments I have the next morning, how late
very mechanical, very human.
Well, because again, I hate having to make the decision about food. I know I'll like them all. And that way I'm just like, I don't have to think about it. I don't have to think, what do I want tonight? I just have to think, oh, I'm having this tonight. And yeah, I guess that is a very, in some ways, odd, but it's logical to me. And
No, it makes sense.
I don't like the pressure of having to decide what I want to eat. Even when I go out to eat with people, I like to hear what other people are ordering before I lock in what I want, because I might just see the other food and be like, I want that. So, other than like specific cravings. But yeah, so that's off topic. So yeah, she hasn't had ramen. She hasn't had a burger. But a burger I understand. A burger is like kind of poor people food, and it's, well, they have them plenty in Japan. They're American food. In fact, I've been watching shorts from a American English teacher that lives in Japan, that teaches in Japan, and like one of her things was basically like, most of the people here in Japan, they think that Americans eat burgers breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Like, they think that burgers are like their staple food.
Yeah.
So like, I think while they have burgers in Japan, I think it's seen as American food.
Yeah,
because
and even then,
they do have American food restaurants.
Yeah, if you get like if you get a burger at a non like fast food chain, like you end up getting what they call Hamburg steak, which is essentially like meatloaf that's usually filled with cheese with like mashed potatoes. It's like a whole completely different thing. And like they'll be like, yeah, this is a hamburger. It's like, I mean, in theory, but like, we don't consume it that way.
Yeah. But I think Mitsuru, I can excuse the not having a hamburger, because I could see that as being like, oh, that's like not a part of Japanese culture as deeply as something like ramen.
Yeah.
So that was kind of ridiculous to me, and I was just like, though I did love that social link, because after she tasted it and thought it was so good, she was like, called the chef over to be like, I don't remember, she used French, and it was so perfect, her French pronunciation. The chef do something. Yes, the chef do something. I don't remember.
Yeah, I don't know either. But the voice actor for Mitsuru in the remake is the person that voices Shamir in Fire Emblem, and also who else does she voice? It's Allegra Clark. Is her name, if I remember correctly. And she's super talented as far as like speaking in other languages or with the other languages' accents.
Yeah, definitely. I was seeing if I could find. I can't find the line, but yeah, she. Oh, the music stopped. Got to the end of the 1 hour loop. So, but yeah, so that's another thing about her. She is at least trilingual. She's multilingual. She speaks Japanese, English, and French fluently. Maybe more. Like, at that point, it's probably not that ridiculous to pick up another language. Especially since those are 3 different language trees.
Oh, she voices Boss in AI Insomnia Files. And Dorothea. That's the other person she voices.
So just all the girls I love.
Yeah, that's why it was relevant for me to tell you who voices her. Yeah. It's just your eternal waifu.
Dorothea was my first and probably favorite romance in Three Houses. Boss, I mean, if there was romance options in AI Insomnia Files, I would go for Boss. Considering her hobbies are like, I think it said, finding a weakness, applying it, and making them obey. That was her like hobby.
Yeah, no, 100%, yeah.
Which I would want to say that Mitsuru has almost unfairly been kind of pigeonholed into this trope in the community.
Yeah, the Dami mommy.
The Dami mommy. And she, they leaned into it definitely with 3 Reload. She has a theurgy attack that involves her freezing the opponent in ice and then sitting on it and snapping her fingers as it shatters, then dropping that. So, like, they leaned into it, but I don't think that that's really that much of her character. There's, again, the strict motherly thing, which might be kind of it, and I think somebody told me that she might have been able to also equip whips in older ones.
Oh, does she not have whips in this one?
No, only thrusting blades.
Oh, like rapiers. Yeah,
rapiers, epes.
Oh, I think you're right. No, I think it's Penthesilea has like a whip sword, right?
I don't know what that is.
Her persona.
Oh, maybe? I don't remember.
Yeah, I think that's what they mean, because I don't think you had whips in the original.
Okay. Either way, yeah, she has a sword. She doesn't... There's definitely a side of her that I could see her being a dominating person in the bedroom. But I can't see her as being that as, like, her character personality. And especially given she is... As you get to know her, she's actually, like, a very soft individual. Social link, kind of like Haru's, involve her almost getting married off into a arranged marriage for the sake of her company. And her rank 8, I believe, is her basically telling off her the suitor after the suitor insults Makoto, being like, you can say what you want, but don't you dare insult this man. You were right when you said that the two of you aren't comparable. You could never be as I don't remember, as strong as he is, and then confesses that she loves Makoto and wants to spend her life with him, and then runs off embarrassed after the guy ends up getting chased off. But she's definitely has this emotional side that I think isn't necessarily originally present, and I think it's kind of left out in a lot of the dominating portrayals people give of her. Which I will say, rank 9, when I New Game Plus, when I did not romance her, I felt awful turning her down on rank 9 after she went through all that at rank 8.
Yeah.
And it's I don't know. I hate that they make you go that far before having to tell somebody you're not interested. Though her rank 10 platonic was really interesting because she gives you the keys to her motorcycle anyways. And rather than the romance rank 9, it talks about riding with you on the motorcycle. She instead talks about you getting your own motorcycle and the two of you going riding together, which is more platonic. But the motorcycle is also pretty important. She rides a motorcycle, which is, again, I feel like there's kind of some similarities to Makoto. Don't know why they decided student council president with perfect grades also rides motorcycle. I guess that's cool. But her motorcycle has a lot of meaning to her as a character because she uses it to escape all her responsibilities, because she has a lot of them and she wants to feel like she has an out, even though she knows she can't just run away from them. Which the end of her arc is kind of her accepting that she doesn't need to run away from them, but she shouldn't try to run away from them, but she also should kind of take control and do what she thinks she needs to do, not what she's expected to do. But she also, over the course of the game, back to Lost, she loses her dad. And her mom's never mentioned, I don't think. If they mentioned it, it was some random comment somewhere. But she's apparently not present. I assume probably has passed away or something, knowing these games. But she probably takes her loss even worse than Junpei takes his. She is complete. You can't even talk to her for like a week or two. And she almost entirely gives up on fighting the fight for the world. As she's like, I have no reason to fight anymore. And Yukari, in one of her few moments of not being utter shit, steps in and is like, hey, you need to keep fighting. I kept fighting because I know what it's like. I lost my dad and I had to realize that I need to fight for what he wanted. And that's my reason for fighting. And like, I can't tell you what to do, but maybe think about that. And she's like, yeah, I need to fight to do what my father couldn't do. And overall, Mitsuru, I think she is one of the best characters in the game. She is very layered. And yeah, she takes a lot of responsibility for a lot of things that she shouldn't. But I will put her...
With that said, definitely what rank? We don't know.
S, but she is below Chidori.
Yeah, that's fair.
And I think there will still be a couple that are above her. But I did not regret romancing her. Like, I had a lot of time to back out because you can't even start her social link until November. Mm-hmm. So, like, and I didn't get to the point or I had to make a decision for really any of the other characters at that point. So it's not like I decided early on and locked that in. I was kind of keeping them, trying to decide for a while. It's not like a case of Penny Stardew Valley where I was within a game month like, yes, I'm marrying this character. But I think she was handled really well. And I like that kind of trope of character. Well, I like both the tropes of characters she kind of uses, both the motherly character that the Empress kind of represents. Like, you already know it. I was actually wrong, Boss isn't who I would have romanced in AI The Somnium Files. It would have been Hitomi. Iris's mom.
Oh god, yeah.
Ride or die girl.
Ride or die girl.
Who was like, I feel like I betrayed my best friend by never telling her daughter that I wasn't a real mom, and like, you gave up 16 years of your life for a child that wasn't yours. You did the best thing you could ever do for a person. Yeah. I said back then, at that point, you could literally piss on my grave and I'd still like love you, like how much you did for me. Like, so no, Hitomi is great, and that's, I've kind of noticed that's actually a character trait, not just a character. That's a thing I like. I think being motherly is attractive, just like being fatherly is. Being a caring person who wants to help raise children or otherwise. I think that's, yeah, I don't know how else to word it. But I like that, and I also like the kind of cold at first, but like emotional kind of thing that's, I think, is more tied to like the Japanese stereotype of student council president, perfect grades person, where like they seem like they're all logical, but they're actually deep down are insecure and trying to process their emotions, just not good at it. I don't know. Anyways, before we do the next party member, I want to mention Mr. Kirijo. I don't know if he has a first name given.
Oof. You got me.
I want to check just for sake of Takaharu Kirijo.
Takeharu Kirijo.
According to a Reddit post saying that his voice acting is terrible. Cool.
I have it open in behind the voice actor.
Oh, I don't think any of the voice acting is terrible. But...
No, I'm saying that's where
yeah.
So if you got it from the Reddit, I got it from there. Then that's correct.
Yeah. He's more of a minor character. You only really see him in 2 parts of the story. I guess it's kind of technically 3. You see him when you go to the summer vacation beach episode at Mitsuru's private not resort, but like summer home. And that's where you get a lot of lore dump from him. And then you see him later on after you eliminated Dark Hour. He comes to show up to kind of celebrate, but then you didn't eliminate Dark Hour. And then he shows up in the scene that he gets killed. And he's kind of an edgelord. Like, I get it. He went through some, like, shit. His father did some awful crap and created the Dark Hour. And I don't know why he wears an eye patch. I don't think they establish it. I like to think it's just because it looks cool.
I'd believe it.
But, he's basically... I like to think, since we get so little times we see him, I like to think he's essentially older Zeke from Xenoblade, where he's intentionally trying to be edgy. But maybe he is. We just don't get a lot from him. He tells you a lot of the truth about Dark Hour, though what he gives you and tells you ends up not being actual truth, but he doesn't know that. And he otherwise serves as the motivation for Mitsuru to find her own path, I guess. And I'm sure he also went through Lost, but they don't really establish it. He's there. He's fine for what he is. And it's not like we often see characters' parents in these games. I think the only parent we saw in Persona 5 was Haru's dad, who was... Yikes. I guess technically we saw Futaba's mom. Kinda. And I guess technically Sojiro's is her dad. But in a way. Anyways. I think I'd put him on a B rank. Right below the principal, because that's a big dividing line.
Yeah. Do you wanna know something that
sure.
we did an oopsie on?
What?
Technically, Fuka joins the party before Mitsuru.
Oh yeah, that is true. Is it?
So you gotta undo everything you just did.
Isn't it at the same time?
No, because Fuka, like, remember, spoilers, Fuka's awakening is during a battle.
Yeah, I guess technically. It's like immediately after you get Mitsuru, though.
Yeah, because Mitsuru is like, oh, I can't scan these. My strength is not enough. And then she's like, well, I could do it.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Fuka was just being too quiet that I accidentally didn't notice her.
Yeah, well, she was busy trying to make you some scones.
Oh god, I don't want those scones.
Yeah, she misunderstood the assignment, and she's actually making stones. Like, she's transmutating. She's, like, using alchemy to accidentally make stones.
Probably.
That's how bad at cooking she is.
Little Fuka. Fuka.
F tier for Fuka.
Well, Mitsuru is like Haru combined with Makoto Persona 5. Fuka is like Haru combined with Futaba Persona 5.
Yeah.
Fuka is the... Is she the hermit? No, she's not the hermit. What is she?
Hierophant?
No, she's not Hierophant.
No.
She is...
Because Hierophant is Bunkichi.
High Priestess. Or I think they just call it Priestess, but...
Yeah, the High Priestess in Persona 5 is the fortune teller, I believe.
No, that's the Fortune Arcana.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, the High Priestess in Persona 5
I'm looking it up.
is Makoto.
Makoto Persona?
Makoto Persona 5.
Makoto Persona 5 is High Priestess?
Yeah, isn't she?
I don't know.
With the Pope.
I guess, yeah, you're right.
Motorcycle Pope.
Yeah, Motorcycle Pope. You're right. That's a good way to remember that.
I just remember because I remember both Makoto and Haru have arcanas that are definitely like female arcanas, Priestess and Empress. And those are the last two girls you get aside from Royal.
Yeah.
And also An is Lovers, which is still kind of associated with female. So, like, all the playable women. Because Futaba is support. But, yeah. Anyways.
You're right, though. It is Priestess.
Yeah. So, Fuka, she ends up... You first hear about her with, like, stories of, like, these girls that are disappearing at night and then coming back at the school like in awful condition, and it's rumored to be a ghost. And then you find out that all of these girls, what they had in common is they were all bullying this one girl who ends up, you had identified as a Persona user, but you're told that she was in the hospital because she wasn't doing well. Or not Persona user. She had the potential, which means she could be a Persona user. And so, and then you end up finding out though that she's not in the hospital. Mr. Ikoda is a complete piece of shit and was lying that she was in the hospital, but she actually was missing for 10 days after being extreme bullied, and they weren't sure if she committed suicide. So. Which that was the moment where I decided I absolutely hate Mr. Ikoda, because that is, like, somehow I feel that is worse of a teacher than Kamoshida, who is an actual, like, sex offender. So, maybe not worse than him. Definitely worse than the principal, Kawakami. Or, not Kawakami, yeah. Kobayakawa.
Kobayakawa.
Definitely worse than that. But, no, Fuka, what turns out is they locked her in the gym for overnight, and the bullies locked her in, and then worried and tried to check on her, and she was gone. And it turns out, well, as we know, the gym turns into Tartarus at night. And as we know, she has the potential, so she would be awake during Tartarus, or during Dark Hour. So she ended up in Tartarus. And because Tartarus technically disappears at night, I guess she didn't appear back in the school and just was stuck in Tartarus, though it only existed for an hour at a time, so she was only there for 10 hours. But that's still pretty awful to be essentially
10 hours of, like, constantly
10 hours in hell.
Murdered.
That is like 10 hours in hell.
Yeah.
Nothing to defend you. Though she did say she was able to sense the shadows thanks to her persona, but she didn't know it was thanks to her persona. So that helped her hide. But that's 10 hours of caught in a horror movie. And you find her, save her, and try to get out, and one of the bullies shows up, trying to apologize, because somehow, I think it was her persona that was somehow, no, something was calling the bullies into the Tartarus.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was her persona. They were being called to her.
It was the full moon one.
Was it? That's weird, because it was all the people that were bullying her.
Yeah.
And they came to where she was.
The subtext is that it was like projecting from the memory. I don't remember, but you're right. Let me see. I'm looking it up.
It's gotta be connected to her somehow. Either way, the bully came to apologize, and the big shadow tried to attack the bully, and she ended up jumping in the way to protect her for the only moment in the game where you get essentially a persona awakening of the I am thou and thou art I.
Mm-hmm.
Other than Makoto getting it at the start of the game, and you get the little things at the start of Social Links, which I think is new. But yeah, she got that. She gets a persona awakening to protect them, and she kind of becomes mechanically the Oracle / Futaba of the game. Mechanically, she literally in this version has an ability called Oracle, and is absolutely busted good in this one, because when her theurgy charges up, which it charges up just by, I think it just charges up by you doing like anything, but after it charges up and you can use it, it does a random effect that is either heals everybody's HP and SP fully, give everybody the charge effect so their next attack is doubled in strength, or a full party heat riser. Always one of those three. It'll never do the recovery one unless you're low on stuff. Otherwise, if you're high on stuff, it's guaranteed either heat riser or charge, which is just so busted. So she is, and during a boss battle, you might get that a couple times in a fight. So she's really good mechanically, but otherwise, she's a very shy character whose personality traits are: she really likes flower arranging, but is not good at gardening. She is really good with computers and technology, to the point that at the end of the game, if you max out Social Link, she starts a tech club, which I'm like, what the heck does that mean? What is a tech club? Like, that's a very large, broad statement. And third personality thing is bad at cooking. And like, very bad at cooking, like puts things in the food that you shouldn't put in that food, and wild animals won't eat her food. And at one point she asks Makoto how much or that the recipe she's following said to put in a dash of salt. What does a dash mean? And one of your answers you can say is it's about how quickly you put the salt in. And she immediately responds, "Oh, that actually makes a lot of sense." And I'm like, what the heck? How does that make sense? But yeah, so and her Social Link is mostly her learning to cook good. I will say a lot of the Social Links, I wanted to say this at the start, but a lot of the Social Links, especially ones that aren't the party members in this game, I feel are not as complex as the Social Links in 5, which 5 did come later. Usually 5, a lot of them have like one or two kind of plot things going on at the same time. Like An both has stuff with Shiho, but also has her modeling stuff with Mika. But all of these have one at most plot thing going on, and hers is cooking. And she is one of the ones I felt least bad about turning down for the romance route, because it's kind of like her being like, oh, is when I'm with you, like, I feel like I can like do anything and stuff and can really like improve as a person. Why is that? And your answer is going to essentially be, it's because you love me, or it's because I'm the leader. And if you said leader, it's not like she questioned it. She was like, yeah, no, that makes sense. So, like, I didn't feel bad turning her down for the romance, because I didn't feel like I felt like I was choosing whether it became romantic.
Yeah.
But otherwise, I get why she has a popular fan base. She is the soft character like Haru is, and people like that. People are like, I want to protect her. Otherwise, I don't think she's quite as, I don't know, pure seeming as Haru. She just seems quiet.
Yeah.
I like her, but she's not one of my favorites, and ultimately I think I'm putting her at the top of B. I did briefly consider dating her because I do like the quiet character archetype, but that's about all I really cared about there. The bad at cooking thing is funny, but like, I see that in so many games at this point.
Yeah.
And it's not necessarily, I don't look at that and I'm like, oh, you know what? Wife material. Not that I expect my partner to ever cook. I mean, I'd like it if they pitched in, but I don't dislike cooking. But I also don't, I'm not like, oh, if you're bad at cooking, that's attractive. I'm just indifferent to it then. If you're bad at cooking, cool, you're bad at cooking. Let's move on. So the next party member that joins, I believe, is... No. Koromaru?
No.
Is it not?
It's Aegis, I think.
It's what? Is it Ken?
I think it's Aegis.
Oh, does Aegis? Aegis does join before then. I forget, because Aegis, joins kind of weirdly.
Yeah, because Ken doesn't go to the beach.
His loss.
Well, he couldn't go. That's because he wasn't a part of the group yet.
Well, he was. He was living at the dorms already.
Yeah, but
because they already found he had potential, but he didn't.
Yeah.
They didn't officially make him part of Seas Scout now.
Yeah.
They were kind of babysitting him over the summer, and you could interact with him in the dorm and stuff. But I'll get to him. Aegis. So Aegis, somehow in a game that has a dog, Aegis is the weirdest one in the group. And it took me a lot to understand what I do understand about her. You get her in the summer during the summer vacation. Throughout the vacation, you feel like you're being watched. And then when you go to do Operation Beach
Hunt.
Beach Hunt?
It's Operation Babe Hunt in 5, I think.
Yeah, I heard they do that like every game.
The same.
I think it was Babe Hunt Operation. I don't know. Either way, it's the guys trying to hit on all the girls on the beach, which was kind of a disaster. Though honestly, I think as Makoto, I did kind of decently. Like,
yeah, no, I think. Sorry, tangent, but I do think it's Operation Beach Hunt, because in 4 it's Babe Hunt, and then it's in 5 it's Maid Hunt, right?
I don't know 4, so.
No, I'm talking about the 5.
Oh, maybe, I guess.
Oh, I don't know either, because there's also the time when they go to Hawaii and do it too.
Yeah, I don't remember if they hit on girls in Hawaii. Might have.
I don't remember either. That said, though, I'll be right back.
Okay. Well, so during that, you get to hit on a bunch of girls. To varying success. None of them actually work out. And there's also a scene that they did change with. It used to be a trans woman, and it was kind of offensive. So they changed it to a conspiracy theorist, because the punchline at the end is that the guys all get freaked out by what they find out. In the original, they find out she's trans and they run away. On this one, it's when they find out she's a conspiracy theorist. But anyways, at the end of the Operation Beach Hunt, they end up, the last girl they try to hit on is Aegis, standing at a pier, which the first two of the guys, Akihiko and Junpei, both get shot down really quickly. But then Makoto walks up to her, and she's immediately kind of freaks out and runs away, and the other guys insist you chase after her because they're worried that you harassed her too much, and they want to try to make it right before she tells authorities, which problematic. Maybe they shouldn't be doing that. But you go after her, and she immediately starts hugging you and being like, I've been looking everywhere for you, or something. And the others meet up, and you end up finding out that she is an anti-shadow weapon built by the Kurijo group to fight the shadows. 10 years ago, she was inactive for 10 years and recently reactivated randomly. They don't know why. And she seemed to, for some reason, insist that she's looking for Makoto and following him around. And they end up, at first, are like, this is weird, she's a robot, but they're very quickly like, okay, sure, this is fine, this is normal, and welcome her into the group. Try to help her blend in as a normal girl, which she's really bad at. She has no feet. They guess they give her fake feet when she goes to school, because she does go to school. In a way, I would say that Aegis is as much a main character as Makoto is. Aegis, a lot of the game is about her from that point on. It turns out that she fought the big bad 10 years ago and managed to seal him away inside of main character Makoto. I'll get onto all that. But that's why she was drawn to Makoto, and she feels bad about it. And over the course of the game, she becomes more and more sapient and self-aware and human, which you can eventually social link her in the final month. Not until then. It's a long time. And you have to really bulldoze it to get that one out of the way. But she does participate in other stuff before then. And she's a party member. And she can use, as implied, she can use a persona. And the reason she can use a persona is because, according to the game, or according to the characters in the game, they had to give her a human mind so that she would be able to summon a persona and identify with a sense of self that you need for a persona. And that's why they needed a humanoid body. Otherwise, it wouldn't, if she had a tank body, she wouldn't be able to have that sense of self needed for a persona, which is really interesting, and I can't understand if that means they put somebody's mind into Aegis, because they said they had to give her a human mind, but I don't know what that means. She's otherwise she's not very good at being human at first and understanding human concepts. But over time, you can bond with her, and she learns to. be human, but also she has to accept that she's not human. She has a metal body, and like she'll always kind of not be human, but not be like an object. She's kind of just one of a kind, and she has to cope with the fact that she's going to live forever, theoretically, and outlive all of her loved ones forever, which is a lot. I didn't really talk about Fuka in terms of the loss things, but Fuka's loss doesn't really deal with a lot of loss. It's one of the kind of the exceptions. But I guess is the one example of loss that's to come. She has to mourn people that aren't dead yet as she realizes that she's going to outlive everybody she cares about. And that's another really hard grief to go through. It's not really a thing that you usually do because you don't know for a fact you're going to outlive everybody. But to know that your loved ones are going to die, and you're probably going to have to outlive them, it's hard because you have to go day to day and continue building memories with these people that you know it's going to hurt at the end. That's also, though, it's kind of about what humanity is about. Being a human, being alive, being a person in the world. We go through our lives to collect memories, collect meaningful relationships and bonds, knowing that that eventually one of us is going to be hurt because one of us is going to lose the other person. It's a very melancholy thought. And Persona 3 it's a melancholy game. I don't describe it as a dark game. I describe it as a melancholy game because it's kind of tinged with bittersweet from beginning to end. And it's tinged with... It's like... has upbeat, exciting stuff. But there's always that thing lingering in your mind that this isn't going to last forever. And I guess is kind of the personification of it. And it's tragic. She's a really sad character to when you think about it, especially because she only becomes fully self-aware like a month before the end of the game. A few months, depending on how you look at it. She doesn't get much time to enjoy the bonds, especially with Makoto. She doesn't get much time to grow close to people. And it's tragic. Like, I don't know how I feel fully about, I guess, to this point still, because it's a weird concept to have even brought a robot into this game. But they put a lot of there's a lot of like emotional theming that comes from it that I think it gives a different perspective that fits with everything. I guess as a character, before that last month, I would have probably put her maybe at a B. But that last month, what you get out of her is pretty big in changing how I view her. And I think I would put her as an S. Below Mitsuru, but not by much. It's really hard. She's a really interesting character that gives you a lot to think about. After that, trying to remember the order characters join. I think the next one is Koromaru. Which is very strange, because Koromaru is a dog. And not in a similar way to Morgana being a cat in 5. Koromaru is like a dog, is a regular dog with persona abilities, but like Koromaru is much a regular dog as the other party members are regular high school humans. Like, he doesn't it's not implied he fully knows what's going on, other than kind of what he can infer via instincts. You first meet Koromaru when he goes on his walks, which he goes on like a walk, I think, every day past the dorms. And you learn that he belonged to a monk or priest or something at the shrine, like the Shinto shrine. But then one day the priest died, and he's just continued doing his walk that he did with the priest every day without his friend now. Always stopping at the site of where he died, but refused to let anybody adopt him. And at some point during the dark hour, you end up getting reports of activity and find him injured, having fought off a shadow to protect the spot where his master had died. And it turns out his master was killed by a shadow during the dark hour, and he developed a persona for reasons. I mean, I don't think they're ever clear on what triggers the potential. Maybe when Inherytance is back, I have to ask that. But Koromaru's ends up, it's implied then that he's had a persona for a while, which is wild to think that this dog has, on his own, been fighting off shadows and been going through this terrifying hour every night for a while. But he ends up, you have him join the team. He gets this collar that is like, I guess is a shot collar in place of a gun to summon his persona. And which is unsurprisingly Cerberus, given everybody has Roman gods is the theme, and he's a dog. His story doesn't ever get super complex because he's a dog, and as I said, he's not some like super genius dog. Dogs are smart. He kind of infers a lot of stuff going on, but he doesn't fully understand everything. I guess also sometimes interprets for him, because she says dogs don't have a language, but she can kind of understand what he's thinking and saying based on his, like, I don't know, body language and stuff. And like when Aegis first ends up starting to go to school, they end up he ends up wondering why he can't go to school, and Aegis doesn't know why a dog can't go to school either. It's a whole moment. But Koromaru's story, he does get his linked episodes, and the linked episodes involve meeting people that Koromaru knew during his when he was with the previous owner, and like a woman that wanted to take him in. It involves Koromaru showing that he has bonds with humans and that those are just as meaningful, and he wants to protect them. But at the end of the day, he's just a dog. And it's adorable hearing his barking and his whining and stuff in like conversations and in Tartarus and stuff. He is the best boy, though. Like, he is so adorable. Like, it would be, I think, illegal for me to put him anything but an S rank. I'm gonna put him at bottom of S. This is really hard. Yeah, currently he's gonna go at the bottom of S rank. I want to say he's the best in the game, but the other characters I put at S rank are really there for a reason. And you can't get into that same type of story quite with Koromaru, but just by virtue of Koromaru being Koromaru, he's S rank.
Yeah, I mean, Atlas games are really good on that, making you feel like all the characters are super, at least relevant for the most part, you know?
Yeah, I was just saying Koromaru isn't super, like, his story never gets very deep because he's a dog and he's just a regular dog. Like, he's not like Morgana. He's not like some super hyper intelligent dog. He's just a dog that has a shadow. I wanted to ask you, well, I thought it while I was talking at Koromaru, is there anything that determines who gets the potential and when? Because Koromaru, it's implied Koromaru awoke it to his persona, like, before all this happened. Protecting his master. Or trying to.
Before what? Sorry, the music is a little, I couldn't hear you.
Oh. Before the events of the game, it's implied Koromaru already had awoken to his persona. Independently.
Yeah.
And that's why he guards that spot every night. So what?
Well, technically, Mitsuru awoke to it before when she was a kid.
Well, yeah, I'm not saying he was the first one to do it, but it was independent of the events of the game or these characters.
Yeah.
So it can't be like how personas work in like 5, where it has to do with the wild card.
Yeah.
So, is there any rules on who ends up having the potential and awakening?
See, it's as far as 3 is concerned, it's hard to say, right? Because like you implied in the other games, there are a lot more rules, even in the original ones. Before they like locked down social links and stuff, like there was always like a very specific indicator. So like if it is just people who were related to the events of that day that Tartarus was born or the Dark Hour was born, right? Like you'd have to make some leaps of logic that the monk was somehow maybe worked for the Kurija group and then became a monk or something. You know what I mean? Like
I feel like odds are Koromaru wasn't even born yet 10 years prior.
Yeah, exactly. Because otherwise he'd be like 10 to 12 years old.
Yeah, he'd be a senior age dog then. He doesn't act like a senior age dog.
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, so I don't think that would be it. It's hard. Yeah, it's hard to like pinpoint 3 specifically.
Yeah, just because
I want to say just kind of like a generic, probably people who experience a deep sense of loss in their life, maybe, and then having to be in the Iwatodai area. You know what I mean? Like, at that point,
I think that's still a stretch because
as far as I know, right? I'm not.
I don't know if Fuka lost anybody notable.
Yeah. Yeah, I wouldn't know, right? Like, I don't know anything about Fuka's parentage.
She doesn't get along really well with her parents, according to her, like, social links and stuff, but she, which is why she wanted to get away from living with them and live in the dorm, but
yeah,
they're alive, and it never implied that there's...
Yeah, so, yeah, I don't know. I can, as far as I know, it's kind of arbitrary in 3.
Okay. Yeah, because Koromaru is also the only example we know of an animal awakening to it.
Yeah.
by this logic. So, like, why aren't there other animals? But either way, I got through everything with Aegis, and a lot of my summary was that Aegis, I feel, is kind of also the main character of the game, along with Makoto, for the second half of the game where she's present.
Yeah, like you can make an argument that the game is Aegis' story through the protagonist's eyes.
Yeah. Because, yeah, Aegis encapsulates the concepts of loss and a lot of the other themes of the game, I think, better than any other character, because Aegis's experience is really kind of just what it means to be human, that we spend our lives making bonds, building memories with people that we know that in the end, one of either us or them is going to lose the other person somehow. Mm-hmm. Aegis has to, because that's her story. She has to accept that she isn't going to die like everybody else, and she's going to have to lose all of us. And that's kind of a thing of life that we kind of have to accept and do to be human. We make these connections knowing it's either going to hurt us or it's going to hurt them in the end. But it's about whether it's worth it. It's about it being worth it in the moment to build those, the time we have. Which I know is go into some of the other themes I've kind of lately heard about people talking about. But yeah, so like Aegis, that's why Aegis is up there on S especially, is because I felt that last month in particular where she becomes self-aware is very powerful in kind of encapsulating all of the ideas and theming and lessons of the game. Okay, so now sweet little boy Ken. Inheritance can attest to that when I found out Ken had the potential, I was angrily caps texting that they better not be like putting this small child into their battles and stuff. And like, I still disagree with it even after finishing it. I think this was child endangerment. And worse than the case of Koromaru, where like at the end of the day, Koromaru's a dog. He was gonna fight things whether you let him join you or not. At least you can keep an eye on him here, as opposed to him fighting shadows on his own. Like, Ken is a child. Like, of course Ken would have forced his way into it, knowing after you know everything about him, he would have anyways. And Ken is rough. Ken is what's his arcana?
Strength, I think, maybe? Or Femsi?
No, is it strength? I didn't think it was. But
here, I have a list.
I think it was justice. I think he's justice.
Justice. It is justice.
Yeah. And I was actually going to kind of vaguely compare him to Akechi, because he kind of has the betrayal, though his works a little differently. Ken is just a poor boy whose mother died in an accident several years back when Shinjiro, who we'll get to, lost control of his persona, because that's a thing that could happen in 3. And it murdered an innocent woman. And that was Ken's mom. And Ken couldn't forgive that or forget that, and basically joined for the sake of trying to get his revenge on Shinjiro. And actually fully planned out a murder-suicide is this kid. He planned to take his own life afterwards. He didn't want to do anything after this. He just wanted to avenge his mom and then be done. Which is awful. And it's heartbreaking in retrospect when you see social links, or linked episodes and stuff. where it's a lot of him doing stuff with Makoto, starting to enjoy things, and then not letting himself enjoy things. And it's because it'll be harder to take his own life at the end if he has enjoyment for things, if he has love for things. It's, in a way, kind of similar to Chidori, except for Chidori was helpless in her situation and he was actively choosing it, but he was also afraid to form attachments because of this. And obviously things change. Character still dies, but not from his fault, or not from him directly, and now he feels to blame. And he kind of has to atone for that. Ken is a child that I feel is forced to grow up too fast, and we didn't help the situation, but he's done this to himself, and there's not really any stopping him doing that. One of the activities you can do in the dorms in these games are cooking with people. Not everybody can do every one of the activities, and each one of them has a little arc with each activity. And he can do the cooking, but his is all making coffee, as he tries to get better at making coffee. And as you get to know him, you find out he hates coffee. But coffee is a thing adults drink, and he needs to learn to enjoy it. And there is a whole full side thing. You also find out that coffee reminds him of his mom, because his mom brew coffee every day, and the smell of coffee reminds him of her. But at the same time, he feels he needs to drink coffee because he needs to be an adult to keep up with everybody. And it kind of, that little thing encapsulates what Ken is. Ken is a child through events of the world is forced to be an adult before he can, or before he is an adult. The game ends with him still talking about how he's anxious to get through high school and finish his education and stuff, so he can be an adult like everybody else and do more for the people he cares about. And it breaks my heart a little every time I see that stuff, because let him be a kid. He's how old is he, like 12? Do you remember?
Ken?
Yeah,
I think he's 12.
Yeah, he only has like 5-6 years left to be a kid. Let him be a kid. And it's just, initially I was kind of indifferent of him, and I got kind of protective of him. There's a kid in the game that I still cared about more, but like at the same time, he's just poor little orphan boy
from a poor family. It says he was born in 1998, making him 11 in Persona 3.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, he has like 6 or so years left to be a kid, and that's the thing. I feel every kid needs to understand. I get it. You can't make a kid understand anything. You can't force him to, but you're going to be an adult regardless. And once you're an adult, you can't go back to be a kid again. Like, take the time to just be a kid and just enjoy being a kid and do things kids can do. Because, I mean, sure, as an adult, you can have hobbies that are traditionally connected to kids, and they shouldn't be. People should be able to have hobbies. But you're going to have a job. You're going to have to be responsible for everything for yourself and potentially for family or others around you. Don't grow up too fast, because it'll never come back to you. And Ken, I kind of feel dual fold on the loss thing. He goes through the loss of his mom and the loss of Shinjiro, but also the loss of his childhood, and he doesn't even realize that he goes through the loss of his childhood. And maybe that's stretching, but I don't think it is. I think that's Ken's an important thing about being forced to grow up fast.
Yeah.
All things considered, I would put him at an A rank right here, below the other guys, but still an A rank. Now there's only one party member left, and that is Shinjiro. Shinjiro you meet fairly kind of early on, but just vaguely here and there, sometimes in cutscenes that you're not even present in. And seems like this like edgy, shady character you don't know much about. You don't know if he's friend or foe. But eventually, you find out Akihiko's trying to get him to join Seas because he used to be on Seas. And when Ken joins Seas and Shinjiro finds out, that prompts him to join Seas. As I had mentioned, Ken is trying to kill Shinjiro, who is indirectly responsible for his mother's death. Shinjiro is very tragic because not only was he also an orphan, but he, as said, he lost control of his persona and it killed somebody. Also, he was best friends with Akihiko, so he also had to mourn the loss of Akihiko's sister as a friend of his still. But after his persona killed somebody, he ended up leaving the group because he felt so guilty. He dropped out of school and he started taking drugs that would suppress his persona, but also meant he was going to die sooner or later. I'm not sure. I think he was going to die because of the experiment that gave him the persona, but they also make it sound like the medicine implied, like taking the medicine was. I think, though, the implication was actually that the medicine is a symptom that he was going to die soon. If his symptoms were that bad, they needed medicine. That's my understanding. Shinjiro, otherwise, you only have him for a month, and I hated that because it's one of those characters that I got to catch the character and I lost him. It was a catchy all over again. I don't remember what Shinjiro's... I don't even slightly remember what Shinjiro's arcana is.
The moon?
Is it?
I'm looking it up.
I do...
Yeah, it's the moon.
Okay. I do know that, unfortunately, due to looking up some stuff about FemC... Oh, I need to replay the music. I do know that in the FemC route, where he's romanceable, if you can romance him, it wasn't clear whether it is only New Game Plus or in the original run, but if you romance him, like an item you give him blocks the bullet, and you could save his life.
Yeah, I don't know if you remember, but I told you that I romance, I guess, every time I play as male as Makoto. It's because when I play as female, I always romance Shinjiro for that reason.
Understandable. He was really cool, and I really hated losing him.
Yeah.
He was another very tragic character. Are you gonna say something? Hello?
What?
Were you gonna say something? It sounded like you tried to say something.
Well, I was just gonna say that he survives, but you'd never get him back in the party.
Oh. Okay. I mean, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Fair. They don't intend you to have him through the playthrough. And he finishes learning all his skills at a much lower level. So, like 20 levels lower or something than the others. Still way higher than you would ever in normal game through get him. Though in New Game Plus, I got him past there without much work. But so, yeah, he's a tragic character who's definitely suffering throughout the game, and not just physically from his persona losing control and crap, but like emotionally. A lot of his social link is about trying to get him to go back to school, And a lot of the reason for that is Mitsuru and Akihiko made a promise with him that they'd all graduate together, and they really want to see that promise through. And the part that broke me the most with him is after he passes, you can go into his bedroom once, and everything in there was like pretty heart-wrenching. The bedroom itself, nothing was fully unpacked because it's inferred he only planned to temporarily be there. He knew he was going to die soon from his condition. He was supposed to not really live much longer anyways, even if he wasn't killed in the accident that Ken was involved in. But so he's never fully unpacked. But if you look in his desk, you can find the application to re-enroll in school filled out other than his signature, meaning he filled out the application. It was trying to decide whether to re-enroll, which would have, like, re-enrolling for him, he still was going to die. That would have been purely to fulfill his promise with his best friends. And just Shinjiro exists in a transitive state, maybe a liminal. Is that a good phrase there? I guess it's kind of liminal. He exists purely in a transition in this game.
Yeah.
Never, like, regardless of the events that actually happen, he knows he's not long for the world.
Yeah.
And everything he does for the sake of those he has a bond with, not for his own sake.
Mm-hmm.
Which is really sad, but it's a thing that people who are dying often do. Because they know once they're gone, it's not going to matter to them what happens, but their loved ones are going to have to keep living. And honestly, he has probably one of the biggest hearts in the game, despite being kind of an asshole. But it's just a cover, plus he's gone through shit.
Yeah.
I'd put him in S rank, right above Koromaru, below Agus. Is possibly my favorite non-dog Mal in the game. But we'll see. Because now we're out of party members. We have... Before I do the social links, I'll do any other characters that are story relevant. Starting with Igor. And this was my first time really getting to know Igor at all, because he was not present for 98% of Persona 5. Because, yeah, spoilers for that. But, granted, Igor is very passive, as I got to learn. And, he's there to help you grow, but he's not there to interfere at all. He offers services if you'll take them, but also doesn't do anything to change the course of what you plan to do. And as such, it's really hard to rate him in terms of the story because he's not really a part of it. He's kind of witnessing it. And his personality isn't super relevant. He's there to do a job. But he's also beloved by fans. I think I'd put him in B rank. Right below the principal, because the principal is the dividing line of everything. But yeah, I mean, I like Igor. He's cool. I will say I have heard rumors that Persona 6 might not have Igor. I saw a lot of theories that the reason that Jose was introduced is that he might be the new Igor in future games. I'd have to... The theory crafted for is, like, deep and complex, and I can't get into it all here, but, like, it was super vague, and they kind of felt like he was also a character to facilitate your growth, and they introduced him when the voice actor had passed away for Igor, so they can't really. They either have to recast him, and a lot of Japanese games and media likes to retire characters when the voice actor passes away. So the theory is that maybe Jose, because I was just trying to Google around, just trying to figure out if there's any other lore I could find about Jose. I don't know who he is, which there really isn't. And that's where I was stumbling upon those theories and rumors. Which would be interesting. It'd be sad to see Igor gone, but like also the voice actor did pass away, so. But since we're talking about Igor, of course, Elizabeth, the Velvet Room attendant of the game. Persona 5, obviously the Velvet Room attendants are Justine and Caroline, and in theory Lavenza, though she's absent for most of the game. But she does talk to you early on as a butterfly several times, which I only realized because I've been watching some people play through it blind, and I didn't remember those few interactions. But that's definitely Lavenza's voice coming out of the butterfly. But for the most part, Justine and Caroline are the Velvet Room attendants in 5 that you get to know and interact with. In this, it's Elizabeth, who I think was the first Velvet Room attendant, unless I'm mistaken, and 1 and 2 had any.
1 and 2 have people who reside in the Velvet Room other than Igor. I don't know if they would describe themselves as attendants.
Okay. But yeah. So at this point, those are the Velvet Room attendants I know. I don't know the one for 4, though I've seen her. And I know that Femc in 3 has a dude that we've never seen again. And I know that Elizabeth, I think, has appeared in other stuff. But she was really interesting. I got to go on kind of dates with her, showing her different parts of the world, watching her completely misunderstand how everything works, completely enabling her misunderstanding how everything works, because I was like, I mean, you don't reside in this world anyways, so I guess it doesn't really matter if you think that the police wanted lists are people we need to go out and kill. Like, I guess it doesn't matter if you think that seesaws are played on by, like, running on them or something weird. Like, sure, whatever makes you happy, girl.
Yeah.
But yeah, and it eventually culminates with a date in Makoto's room that most definitely involves them both getting laid and possibly being each other's firsts, which is a lot. But and then of course Elizabeth is a super boss too, and beating her, she was hoping in the fight that she would learn like more about who she is and her purpose and stuff, but she didn't. But if I remember correctly, I think she said that it was late at night when I did it, but I think she said that she was going to go on a journey or something to figure that out. Yeah, so honestly, it's as much as like I feel like that's kind of the trope they go for the Velvet Rooms of they don't understand the world. Her quirky nature combined with how she's kind of both stern but also kind of a nurturing person, I really like how she's portrayed. Definitely more than Lavenza, and I think actually more than Caroline, which is my favorite of the two twins, because Caroline was mean. Hey, I'll say she was a character I was kind of sad to part ways with, and that Makoto could never see her again, because she was very sweet. And I will put her on A rank I have to put her below the party members. They're fleshed out so much. Let's see, are there any others here that are not social? Oh! I meant to talk about this when I talked about Fuka. Monica, I think was her name, right? Yeah. Monica is a kind of minor character. Is one of the bullies that were bullying Fuka, but also the one that ended up going to talk to the principal when she started to get worried, and the one that went into Tartarus that Fuka ended up saving. After that, Monica and Fuka supposedly became best friends. I don't know why you would want to be best friends with somebody that not only bullied you, but to the point where she legitimately thought that Fuka might have committed suicide. Like, they got really bad at that bullying. But I think that more speaks to Fuka's kindness and ability to forgive. And Monica, I mean, even by the end of Monica and Fuka's scenes, which was Monica's moving away to another school district, and she wasn't going to tell Fuka originally because she didn't want to hurt Fuka. And she was basically to Fuka like, listen, you shouldn't care about me, I'm a bitch. Like, I think she straight up said that. I think she straight up called herself a bitch. And she was self-aware enough to know that she was kind of shitty. And it sounded like she was trying to be a better person. She no longer was bullying Fuka. I wouldn't have mind to see more of Monica. I actually went into this thinking I felt negatively about Monica, but I actually think I kind of like Monica after talking about her. She's not one of my favorites, but she's definitely, I think she'll be B rank. And right below Fuka. And I actually want to move the principal over these two people. I like the principal more now. But by the end of this, the principal is somehow going to get to the top of the tier list. Okay, I will do, not you yet. First, Takaya? Takaya is an antagonist, leader of Strega, which Chidori was in. And he looks like modern interpretation white Jesus, except covered in tattoos, and doesn't wear a shirt, and he has I think it's a revolver. No, is it a revolver? He has a big gun that he just like puts in his the front of his pants. That constantly makes me very uncomfortable because I'm like, dude, I mean, I don't think the safety is even on because he just uses it to straight up shoot somebody at some point. Like, if that thing goes off, I mean, he's already not having children, but he's more so not having children. And I mean, that's best for the world, but like, I'm uncomfortable with his gun safety. Otherwise, I mean, he's pretty awful anyways. He, essentially wants the world to end by the end of the game and doesn't care that everybody dies because, like, life sucks, I guess. He's a very nihilistic person. And that kind of bugs me because I actually had, I won't get into it because it's a little cringe, but I had a phase in college where I was identified as a nihilist. But it's very kind of pretentious, and it's he doesn't have good motivation, I feel, for anything he does. He went through shit, and he's just like, the world should end. In terms of villains, I don't think he was a type of villain that I love to hate. I just didn't like him. I think I'll just keep him an F. Somebody needs to be an F. Sorry, Takaya, you're an F. Because, I mean, the only other person that's... I mean, there's actually a couple other that might be, but the only person is your best friend here. What's his name? Jin.
Jin, I think?
Yeah, Jin. Jin, I mean, Jin's also in Strega, and his personality is, Takaya is my best friend, and that's his personality. But I do like his outfit and stuff, and his, like using, like, tactical bombs or something in battle, and he has a cool persona, I think, and ability to see people's weaknesses. He is going in D. I don't really like him, either Takaya or Jin, much, but I like him more than Takaya. Except for D's the tier that I don't care if they didn't exist. Or that I wouldn't notice if they didn't exist. And I would notice if Jin didn't. Would I? Actually, I don't think I really would. Like, he has some personality, but, like, he doesn't really add much to it.
Let me tell you, I casually was watching some gameplay from Reload, and I saw his battle. It is a lot cooler in the remake than it is in the original.
Oh.
Yeah. So a lot of the personality that Jin and Takaya, is that his name?
Takaya?
Takaya.
Takaya, yeah. So I think it's all...
Yeah, Takaya. A lot of the personality they have is... well, not a lot, but a good amount was from the new game.
Okay. I mean, I will say, even my F isn't rank in this scale isn't going to be characters I, like, hate. I don't think there was any in 3 Reload that I, like... The characters mostly served a purpose, aside from,
there's no Kamoshida.
Aside from this one bottom of D tier guy that I couldn't remember existing. But the rest served a purpose. I mean, Kamoshida, honestly, as awful as he was, I think he did a really good job at being a villain.
Yeah.
And, I mean, that's the whole thing with 5s, that the villains started out great and they slowly got worse. For at least Vanilla 5, in my opinion. But I think that's the nature of it was a lot more personal with the first ones, and then it got less and less personal. As well as, it's hard to hate somebody more than somebody that's like a sex offender. Like, that's pretty bad. So, now I want to get the last couple out of the way before the rest of the social links. So we'll do, well, actually, no, this kind of is a social link, but I gotta do it to do this one that's not a social link. Pharaohs. The Death Arcana. The Death Arcana in 5 was Takemi. And, I mean, I don't fully really see much similarity in any way for how the Arcana is, like, portrayed. Pharaohs is very literally death. Like, Pharaohs is death. It is a little boy you meet throughout the game that you kind of form a bond with, but he really is it Thanatos?
Are you asking, or are you just
I'm asking
saying?
You. I'm asking you. Is it Thanatos? Is that what it is?
Yeah. Thanatos is the god of death.
Yeah, I thought that was Pharaohs. So yeah.
Brother to Hypnos, the god of sleep.
Yep. So Pharaohs was quite just literally death. And I didn't honestly love him. I can't put him in D because him not existing would have massive implications for the game. So I'll put him in C. But I don't think there's much to say about him in terms of Pharaohs, because he doesn't really do much. And it's just scripted rank ups. He does a little more in his second form, Ryuji, who after Pharaohs, after you get rid of all the what?
I was gonna say real quick. I don't know if you realized the reason why I said that is because Jin's persona is Hypnos.
Oh, I mean, yeah, I knew his persona is Hypnos, but I didn't put that connection together.
Yeah, so Thanatos and Hypnos are siblings.
Interesting.
Yeah, I just thought it was neat. I didn't know if you knew that.
I knew it was Hypnos because I looked up Strega's personas after I beat the game, because I didn't think it really said it in the game, aside from Medea. So, but I didn't make the connection. But yeah, Ryoji is after you eliminate the major shadows, and Pharaoh says farewell to you, and then Ryoji joins the class as a new kid. And given you go into, I think, what's implied to be a private school, meaning it costs tuition, I don't know who's sending Ryoji to school. Like, who enrolled him?
Yeah.
Like, I don't understand. I mean, I don't know who enrolled Makoto to school, but like, Makoto had years to form relationships with adults. I don't know how Ryoji got in school, but somehow he becomes a student, and he becomes the biggest skirt chaser in the game immediately. I don't know why that Death decided that he's really into the ladies, but he tried dating basically every girl in the school at once. Like,
can I say what the youth these days would say about Ryoji?
What? His Riz?
It's super dumb, so you're gonna have to forgive me for the words that I'm about to utter. But they would say that Ryuji has that Skibbity Toilet Riz Ohio.
So Ryoji...
That's what they were saying.
Well, yeah, Ryoji chases after all the comments that I can't respond to it.
He's got the Skibbity Toilet Riz.
He chases after every girl in school. Even Mitsuru, who's currently dealing with mourning her father's death, which was messed up.
And he knows that. And he knows that.
And he doesn't care. He doesn't understand. He only vaguely understands why death is sad.
Yeah.
And he only vaguely understands that because of his bond he built with Makoto. Like, he's like, I kind of see why people mourn now. It after forming a friendship, it sucked to lose you, and I know I'm gonna lose you. So, but he flirts with everybody. You have to defend him in a linked episode from a bunch of guys at the school because he's flirting with their girlfriends, and when he's asked to stop, he's like, I don't even know who your girlfriends are. I'm sorry. I can't. Not my fault everybody wants me. And just like... Ryoji was so hard because the game wanted me to be his friend and act like his friend through these linked episodes. And I just like, I don't want to hang out with a human like this.
He's got the Skibbity Toilet Riz.
Well, listen, I'm not into that toilet Riz.
You're not into the toilet Riz. You get it. You get it.
But yeah, eventually, plot reveals that he's Thanatos, blah blah blah. He tries to get you to kill him to delay the end of the world and wipe your memory of the impending end of the world. And it does go kind of back into the whole grief kind of thing, because before Makoto, Thanatos being death didn't have a concept of like self, it's implied, or like was it self-aware, didn't have bonds or didn't have emotions, and now suddenly he does, at the same time of having to accept that he himself is going to end all life. Which is a weird thing for me to try to process, how he has some level of free will but also has to end all life, even though he doesn't want to end all life. But that's a whole thing that probably could use video essays, and probably has. I didn't really touch into Strega. I should have mentioned with Strega, while it's not super relevant to the individual characters, all of them were experimented on as kids and were going to die from their condition. So that's how they tie into the whole loss and grief and stuff. Similar to Chidori, except for nobody redeemed them. And I kind of felt like at least Jin could have been redeemed, but they didn't bother. But yeah, so Ryoji I liked a little more than Pharaoh's because he had personality, but he was also a gross human being. So, you know what? No, you could go to F. Sorry. He's above Takaya, though. Okay. And now, outside of Makoto, which I'll do last, it's purely social links. We'll go through just on the list. First is Akinari, the Sun Arcana, which in 5, the Sun Arcana was Outcry. I don't know. It was the balding politician. I don't remember his name. What was the name? Do you remember? Inheritance? Oh, maybe it stepped away. Yeah, Akinari is a terminally ill young adult who's I mean, his main thing is that he's dying, but he also wants to write a children's story, and he does over the course of it. And by rank 10, he evaporates into light, and the implication I've learned is that he was already dead at some point. At some point during the social link, he passed away, and you were somehow hanging out with his spirit. I don't know how. But Akinari, otherwise, I didn't love his character. It was kind of depressing, I guess. I mean, more so than a lot of the game. I will say I loved at the end of the game, if you max out a social link, you meet his mother. That was one of the most emotional moments of the game also to me, because her talking about him, the voice actress did great, by the way, for his mother. Her talking about him, about how the things he said to her, like apologizing that he brings her so much pain with his illness, but that he is so happy that she's his mother. Him talking, like, just her talking about the pain of losing him and having to go on. I will say that on the themes of grief, even though I haven't gone through it myself, one of the most painful griefs is losing a child, because it's something parents aren't prepared for. It's not the normal, natural way of the world. The natural way is a parent dies first because of old age. And so parents they're not long anticipating that they're going to lose their child. And terminal illness sure gave her a chance to, but like, she didn't hold that baby in her arms and think, someday I'm going to have to bury him. It's painful, it's sad, it's an uncomfortable topic, but they did a really good job at handling that. Oh, are you back?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mentioned, I think you were on it when I said it, but I did learn the reason he disappears at the end of rank 10 is the implication is he died some point during the social link, and you were just talking with his like spirit or something. Which I don't understand how that works, but yeah.
Yeah, me either.
It's also implied that he finished the story, which is why his mother, or finished story after he was dead, which is why his mother didn't know that he never finished, or that he ever finished it.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure you heard the start of the bit with his mom, but his mom was the main reason. Like, I didn't care much about Akinari, but his mom at the end was the part that really hit me. And I'm sure you'll go through things when you play this eventually, the reload version, but the voice actors for his mom did really good. I was on the verge of tears.
Oh, wow, yeah.
It was a very, very raw, emotional scene. And
I can imagine.
Unfortunately, his mom has no character portrait. So I can't put her...
she didn't in the original either.
Yeah, so I can't put her on this. So Akidari, you have the honor of also representing your mother, because I feel like that's an important part of your character thing, especially if you die partway through and the resolution is your mom dealing with it. I think A, to be honest, and that's purely because of his mother at the end. Right here, right under Junpei. That scene was really, really hit me. But now, everyone's favorite French boy, Bebe. Or
Bebe.
Name I don't remember. Do you remember off the top of your head?
Oh, off the top of my head, do not. I do not.
Give me a moment. Pardon my awful...
Is it Laurent? Something Laurent? Yeah, André Laurent Jean Jaroux.
I was going to attempt to pronounce it, but... André Laurent Jean Jaroux. Bebe. Because nobody, I guess, in Japan can pronounce that.
My name is André Laurent Jean Jaroux. But you can call me Bebe.
He's a very, very, very interesting character. I understand why he's one of your favorites, Inheritance.
Yeah.
I do like the second time I played through, I picked a different farewell for him because it changes. I want to hear in his voice him sing a different one. I don't remember which one I picked. It might have been I think it was Peace Out was the one I picked the second time.
My dear friend, peace out.
I was torn because the first playthrough I took it seriously because I didn't know it was going to stick with the whole game, and I was like, what should I tell this boy how we say goodbye? I guess I'll pick see you later. That's how kids say goodbye. Yeah. But the second one, then I was like, which of the two funnies do I pick? Do I pick peace out or do I pick I'll be back?
I'll be back. Oh, my dear friend, I'll be back.
Well, the funniest thing then it would be at the end having him say I'll be back when he's not coming back.
Yeah, when he's like, when you know he's not coming back.
When he says he's not coming back.
Yeah.
Because he still uses that at the end.
That's so funny.
I wish I wanted to see that, but I ended up doing the peace out the second time because that I thought in most cases would be funnier.
Oh, the voice actor must have had such a good fun time in the studio for that one.
Yeah, no, he was definitely a fun character. His little story was him. He really loved Japan and fashion and Japan Nihon. And but then his aunt died again, loss, and his uncle didn't want him to be in Japan because his aunt and uncle were paying for him to be in Japan, and so his uncle was going to make him come back, and he decided to make a kimono to try to convince him that Japan is beautiful and he should be allowed to stay. And after that, it ends with them going back to Japan, and in the very end of the game, you get a letter from him saying that though he planned to return, he's now not returning. And that's by his own choice. His uncle and all his loved ones back there were going to scrounge together money to send him back to Japan, but he doesn't think it's fair and that he should be able to pay for himself because they've all done so much for him and stuff and all this stuff, but he'll be back to Japan someday when he can on his own, footing the bill. And it's kind of sad having him leave and then not come back because he thought he was coming back. What?
I said it's so sad.
Yeah. It was kind of humorous, though, that the history teacher had the letter for you and was like, this letter was sent to the school. And it's addressed to you, but, like, it says it's by a Andre it's like he couldn't even say the name. It's like, I don't recall any student with that name ever attending here. The only French student I could think of is Bebe. But here, and I'm just like, you suck as a teacher if you don't know your... Like, I understand not being able to pronounce it, but don't know it.
Yeah, well, especially in Japanese. Andure Raruro.
I understand him not being able to say it. It's just he didn't recognize it and was like, only knew him as Bebe. His nickname that he chose to go by. But yeah. So Bebe was fine. I liked him. He wasn't one of my favorites, but he was fun. I liked his cheesy French accent. That probably wasn't a real French accent.
Yeah.
And he's going on B for me. For characters I like. He can go above the principal. Okay, now for oh yeah, Bebe, by the way, was Temperance. Temperance in Persona 5. Who was Temperance? Oh god, who was Temperance? I have zero memory.
Yeah, I don't remember. Was it
Kawakami?
EY?
It's Kawakami.
Kawakami. My waifu for life.
Surprised you don't know her.
Kawakami.
Arcana.
How did I forget?
Yeah, I don't see any similarities to compare them, so I'm not going to. Okay, but now the Hierophant, which in 5 was Sojiro, and in this is Bunkichi and his wife's name.
And Bunkichi's wife.
Mitsuko. So what I can gather is Hierophant is old people. Well, probably not, but yeah, Bunkichi and well, I just put the phone down. Mitsuko was it? Yeah, Mitsuko. They were
Mitsuko and Bunkichi.
Mitsuko and Bunkichi. They were these bookstore owners whose son used to be a student at Goku High or whatever. Gokeku High?
Gekkokan.
Gekkokan High. And he ended up, I believe, became a teacher there and then passed away. And they built a persimmon, or built a, you don't build a tree. Planted a persimmon tree. I'm picturing them building a tree now. That's really weird. They planted a persimmon tree in his honor in the school, and the social link is about the school wanting to tear it down and them trying to get it not torn down, and then get it petitioned, and it doesn't, and it gets saved, and then they decide to tell them to tear it down anyway because it's to build classrooms or something, and they want to benefit they think their son would want to benefit the students. And I'm like, I mean, they probably aren't even using all the classrooms they have. They probably, it's like, this isn't benefiting the students, this is benefiting the people that own the school. The Kirijo group, probably. But sure, let them think it. Whatever brings them calming thoughts, because they are very old. And they also give you snacks when you visit. They give you healing items. They're absolute sweethearts. Benkichi really hurts my spine to look at him, but because he's always bent over very badly. He has extreme scoliosis, probably. But they are absolutely sweet to each other. Like, they are such the cutest old couple. But Kichi's also always like talking about how he's used to be such the ladies' man, and his wife like always like laughs about it. And I'm just like, they are wholesome old couple. They are going in A rank, both of them. I can't separate them. They have to be next to each other. But I'm sure Bunkichi, being the traditional Japanese old man, would like to lead the way, so he'll lead her and be first. They're going right here. Do not separate ever. I don't like that they're facing away from each other, but that's how the icons are.
I mean, put the wife in front, even if you think the Bunkichi should go. Like, they're together.
I want to see what it looks like. I guess, sure, now they're looking at each other. Sure, fine. Ladies first. Okay. Now, is it Chihiro? Is that her name? I think it's Chihiro. Yeah, Chihiro. Wanted to verify, because I should know, because I considered romancing her. Chihiro's the Justice Arcana, which we all know who Justice was in 5, and I mean, but Akechi was kind of the reverse, so that doesn't really count with any similarities. Chihiro's thing is she is a first-year student who's the student council treasurer, only because she was volunteered for it. She didn't necessarily want to do it, and is super shy, especially around guys. You have to talk to her like 4 times in the hallway before she'll actually hang out with you. She's... her main little story arc is the money that's meant to go for one of the clubs ends up going missing, and she gets blamed even though she is sure she gave it to a certain teacher, and she's trying to deal with being accused of stealing money. And the resolution at rank 9 was one of those ones that I feel kind of was ruined by the chance that you can go platonic. And I also don't even kind of like how they resolve it even if you go romantic. Because she basically... Mitsuru decides to get involved because this isn't fair to Chihiro, and is going to talk to try to get it all sorted out, and is like, Makoto, meet me in my room later so we can like discuss how we're going to approach this. And Chihiro's like, wait, you mean alone? Just the two of you alone? And then she's like, and she like runs off, meets with the immediately confronts the teacher that she thought she gave the money to. He's like, oh yeah, I did get the money, but then I accidentally left it at home and kept forgetting to bring it in, and I thought it wouldn't be a big deal, but then you got accused, and the whole situation got so huge I was afraid to do anything, but I'll stop being an absolute shit adult and take care of it now. And she's basically like, yeah, the only reason that I was able to do this is because I couldn't stand the idea of you being alone with Mitsuru because I love you. And so that's, if you're going platonic, that feels pretty awful, especially because I at that point was already rank 10 dating Mitsuru when she was saying that. And I'm like, honey, we're already dating. I've been alone with her. But the worst part is her romance really kind of starts around rank 4 when she realizes she loves you and says it out loud, but she pretends she's talking about her friend loving somebody. And I'm like, okay, so we have to, for like 5 ranks, just string her along knowing she loves us. And if you go romantic, I don't feel it's much better. Because at the end of the day, she still doesn't solve her problem of her own strength as much of out of jealousy, and she does it because she likes you, not because she's standing up for herself. I feel like it was one of the worst social links, even though I really liked her as a character. I thought she was really cute. I like the shy trope sometimes. That being said, combining, I really like the character, but I really dislike the social link. I'm gonna put her in B. Below our friend, the principal. Okay. Next. By the way, if you have anything to say about anybody, speak up. But I'll just keep going.
You're good.
Next is brain buffering. Hidetoshi. Hidetoshi is the student council. I don't think they say it. He's on the student council, but he's head of the disciplinary committee.
Yeah.
And when I met him, I did not like him. I was like, this guy seems like an asshole. Already, disciplinary committee just screams red flags for me. It sounds like you're just a student cop. And a lot of it, his arc was about somebody left cigarettes in the boys' bathroom, and he's trying to catch who it is. And a lot of the reason he's doing all this is because he wants to someday be a politician, and he thinks the only way to really make a change in the world is to like stamp out like bad behaviors and stuff. And so he it culminates with him talking to faculty who are upset they have found the person yet, and ask why he hasn't interrogated Makoto. And he's like, well, I know Makoto well, he wouldn't do something like that. I don't need to interrogate him. And they're like, what do you mean? Makoto's super suspicious. I think he has like a part-time job, which is against the rules. He's doing other sketchy stuff. Like, and he's like, no, I know Makoto. He's on student council. He wouldn't do this. He got really upset and defended Makoto and didn't realize Makoto was overhearing. And at that moment, I was like, this kid is actually a pretty great guy. Like, he seems like he's like only in it for himself, but he's not gonna throw somebody under the bus if he's sure they're innocent. And the cherry on the cake was at the very end of the game. He ends up telling you that he's changed his mind. He doesn't want to be a politician anymore. And he's like, don't laugh, but I actually think I want to be a teacher. Which I was like, why would I laugh? That's great. And it's like, well, he realized that the real people who change the world aren't the politicians, it's the teachers who are like raising the next generation of people, and that's super important. And I was just like, this guy's goated. This is great. Like, I fully agree. Teachers are underappreciated. Gakukan High's teachers are a bad example. They mostly suck. But I love Hidetoshi. Hidetoshi probably started at around a C rank for me, and he ends at an A rank. Not quite as drastic as Junpei, but close, and I'm putting him right below Junpei. He was one of my favorite non-party member social links. Okay. Oh, and he was the Emperor, which is the equivalent of Yusuke in 5, which, again, I don't see much similarity. Next is the Fortune Arcana. Keisuke? I think it's Keisuke. Who's, I've seen jokes that he looks like a young Maruki, and he kind of does. He's, his character arc is his dad wants him to be a doctor. And he's not sure he wants to be a doctor. He kind of wants to be an artist, at least in this. And he's doing really well with his stuff in art club. But he also, whenever anybody's sick or injured, he immediately rushes to the scene and really likes helping them. And he ends up trying to run away from home. It culminates with him trying to run away from home to not do what his dad says. And on his way trying to leave at the train station, like 3 people have like random like heart attacks and crap as he's rushing between them trying to help them all, and then ends up missing his train and realizing, you know what, maybe I should just be a doctor. And then he goes into tries to go into med school, and then his post game or end of game little story thing, you get a letter from him and find out that he was not accepted into med school, and now he's gonna be like apprenticeship or something for, I don't know, it was something that doesn't make sense to me for a medical student, but I don't know how Japan works with their stuff. And like he's gonna try again eventually, and I'm just like, what the heck is your character arc? Do you want to be a doctor? Do you not want to be a doctor? Do you want to do what your dad says? Do you want to do what you say? Are you good at doctoring? You failed. You didn't get into med school. It really felt all over the place, and it didn't feel satisfying for most of the social link be about him not wanting to do what his dad wants him to do, only for him to decide to do what his dad wants him to do. It felt like it was very pointless, like this runaround for no reason, wild goose chase. And which is a shame, because he's a sweet guy, but like he was kind of generic, and his story was just kind of all over the place. So I think he's the second social link that I'm actually putting in C tier. Right about there. Okay, we're getting close. Kenji. Unfortunately. Kenji is the also, I don't know, I might be missing something. Maybe Keisuke's Fortune Arcana has something to do with why his stories like that.
Maybe.
Because, like, kind of being like, things sometimes work out in your favor and sometimes they don't.
Yeah, I mean, again, truly, maybe. I remember so very little from Keisuke's.
Understandable. Like I said, I didn't particularly like it, but it might just be. But I mean, in 5, the Fortune Arcana was Chihaya.
Mm-hmm.
The fortune teller, and I liked her story, even if she was kind of conning us, but she was kind of forced to. Like she was probably would have been like my 4th choice to romance, to be honest. I liked her. And probably out of the adults, if I romanced an adult, it probably would have been her. But her Takemi, that's hard. But yeah, so Kenji's the Magician Arcana, like Morgana, and like Morgana, he is obsessed with a woman that's kind of unrequited, probably. Kenji's thing is the woman he's obsessed with is Imiri, I think her name is. Imiri Kano. She's a teacher.
Yeah.
that does have a portrait in Persona 3 Portable. Only in Persona 3 Portable. I looked it up because I was curious if she'd ever been shown what she looked like. Which is, sure, she's cute, I guess. But, yeah, so ends up supposedly dating her. Like, he goes to study sessions, and he's supposedly dating her and stuff. And then finds out she's engaged to somebody else and moving away, and gets his heart broken, and is like, oh, but we have some cute teachers coming next year. And it's like, who else but Kenji? And yeah, there is evidence that bit from another upcoming social link. I'll just say the name, Maya, but I won't say anything about it. From her that Miss Kanao is leading him on and knows and brags about a student being into him, and also about somebody proposing to her that she doesn't actually like. So Miss Kanao might also just be a piece of shit and enabling a teenager. But I don't think that makes up for Kenji actively pursuing teachers. And he's made it very clear in general he's attracted to teachers. And I think I just don't like the Magician Arcana, but I don't know, I only have a sample size of 2. But honestly, he is going to be the first social link I put in F. I do not like Kenji. I'm noticing a pattern. 2 out of 3 of the Fs are skirt chasing characters. Okay, and now what is it? What is the Arcana? Hanged Man, yeah, even though it's not a man or hanged. Maiko. Probably the youngest social, at least out of the games I've played, the youngest social link.
Hey, real quick, I gotta step out for a second. I'll be back.
No worries. Maiko is probably about 5, 6, 7 years old. She's in elementary school. I think probably about 7. I think they say she's 2nd grade or something. She's an elementary school student. Hangman in Persona 5 was EY, the gun guy, so I don't know the similarity, but she, her parents were, she's a little girl whose parents are getting a divorce, and she doesn't want them to get a divorce. Makes sense. And doesn't know if it's her fault or what, and over the course of the social link tries to ask them not to get a divorce and ask them why they're getting a divorce, and the dad hits her for asking why, and she ends up deciding to run away from home because maybe that will make her parents stop trying to get a divorce. And you have to, because Persona 3 really likes for its social links for you to pick the answer characters want to hear, even if objectively you know this is a bad choice. You have to do it with Kenji too to enable his dating teachers. So you have to encourage her to run away. And she runs away from home. Her parents freak out. You try to help them find her. You end up finding her at the takoyaki shop because she likes it, takoyaki, and they knew she'd be there. And she eventually chooses to. She accepts them getting divorced, understands that they don't love each other anymore, decides to move away with her mom because she thinks her dad will be fine, but her mom needs her. And the social link ends with, or the very end of the game, you meet with her dad, and he's like, I got a letter from her, she's doing well. Oh yeah, before she leaves, she does ask you to, if when she's older, if you'll marry her. But yeah, so if she leaves, like, the dad, like, got a letter from her, she's doing well, I miss her and my wife so much, the house is so empty now. Also, what the heck, why is my daughter saying she's gonna marry me, you groomer, get the heck out of here. Like, and I'm just like, okay, well, she's a little girl. Little kids don't understand the concept of marriage. They don't understand anything related to consent, let alone marriage. So, like, a kid will say they want to marry an adult. That's not odd for children to say that. It's not even odd to be like, okay, sure, whatever, so the kid doesn't get upset, because they're a kid, and by the time they're an adult, they will generally, well, long before that, as they grow older, they'll realize that's not how things work. It was not problematic for her to ask Makoto, a high school boy, if he'd marry her when she grows up. It was not problematic if Makoto is like, yeah, sure. Because he's not actually, he's just saying what will help this little girl that's leaving her friends and her friends and some of her family to go live with her mom somewhere, her entire life being uprooted, her parents divorcing. One of them at least has one time physically abused. They aren't feeding her enough, so she has to go to you for food. Makoto did nothing wrong there. Her dad is absolutely ridiculous for thinking that's a problem. And also her dad hit her, which sucked. And I hate her parents, but this little girl I would do anything to protect. So, thankfully we'll replay the song one more time. We're almost done. So yeah, Maiko, I loved her. I loved this little girl. We're going to put Maiko on A tier. Right here. Right below Hidagaru. Or Hidetoshi Hidagaru. Above Akinari. Okay. Now the Star Arcana. Mamoru. The Star Arcana in 5 was Hifumi, I believe, who I romanced until I realized I wanted to romance Sumire. Mamoru is an opposing track team, and his dad died in an accident. I haven't talked about the grief thing for several characters, but though Maiko was grieving her parents' marriage, that's an obvious thing. But Mamoru's father died. Another loss. His mom was trying to raise him and all his siblings. I think he has like 5 siblings or something. And then his mom gets hospitalized over the course of the social link. So he's trying to raise his siblings. And he gets some free handouts from the restaurants because they all like him and they're supporting him as a track athlete. But by the end of his social link, he realizes that he decides he has to give up his dream of going into track in college and trying to get a good university, and instead has to go immediately to go work. Where does he work? I don't remember where he goes away to work. At a factory? Yeah, a factory. To raise money, to earn money to support his siblings and his mom. It's very depressing. He lost his father, almost lost his mother, and then lost his future, essentially, to work in a factory. I feel bad for Mamoru. I don't like how his social link was resolved. At the very end, he does write a letter that his employer or something started a track team to because he knew it meant a lot to Mamoru, but overall, Mamoru just kind of got screwed over and over. Otherwise, I'd kind of he's an interesting character. I'll put him in B tier. Right above the principal. Okay. So now, Maya. The Hermit persona, or Arcana. Hermit Arcana in 5 was Futaba. In this, it's Maya, who you meet in an online game that you get from Junpei. The game's called Innocent Sin Online, which is a reference to Persona 2 Innocent Sin, which was a game before this. And when playing it, you meet this player who goes by the username Maya, who's a character from Persona Innocent Sin. And since you haven't picked a username, she picks your username for you as Tatsuya, the other character from that game. You get to know Maya through the online game, and she vents a lot of her frustrations to you, and you slowly find out that she's a lot older, that she's a teacher, that specifically teaches composition, that she hangs out at Polonia Mall, which is the mall near you, that she teaches at Gakukan High. Does she did? No, she doesn't straight up say it teaches it, but you could deduce it at that point. And until eventually she reveals that she has feelings for a student, which is you, that she doesn't know you're the player. And she thinks his emo look is hot and stuff, and maybe she can set up some alone time with you since she's your homeroom teacher. It's super questionable, and by the end of it, she has to find out that the game's getting shut down, and is going to share her chat transcripts with the devs to try to get them not to shut it down, which is not how anything works. No devs are going to avoid shutting down. Actually, it'd be the publisher, I think, but they're not going to not shut it down because one person sent in chat logs of them having bonding with another player. But also, she admitted to being a teacher trying to date her student in those chat logs, which is questionable. And the resolution of it is at the end of the game. She decided not to send in the chat log, by the way, and just decides that it's better, like, it has been healthy for her to vent through this method, but you've done a lot to help her learn, and she's not going to keep in contact with you, but she leaves you a message saying, "I love you" in the sand if you use your wallpaper. And then at the very end of the game, the teacher, Miss Toriyumi, which is this teacher we haven't gotten to yet, she sees their wallpaper and has a little mental breakdown, realizing that she told her student, the one she likes, that she likes him, and that this is messed up, and she talks about quitting her job and like how awful this is, before she eventually asks you out for dinner. Problematic, but I mean, Inheritance, he's not here right now, but he always dates Kawakami in Persona 5. So, like, I mean, I'm not going to condone dating a teacher and a student dating. There's the age issue and a power dynamic there. Two big issues. But this is fiction, and while I don't think she should date Makoto, I, as a player, do really like Maya. I like her chat, the way she chats. She goes, I think she does a rafflecopter at one point. She does LMAO-nade. She, as a teacher, admits at one point that she makes up chat things sometimes. Like, when she's teaching composition, she said she makes up chat things sometimes, like chat lingo. So, like, some of her stuff I couldn't decipher, and I think she just made it up. But she is great. She is, like, every 90s kid in terms of 90s chat, or late 90s, early 2000s. So Maya is the online character. Let's drink. I really like Maya. Toriumi, I do like her reaction finding out. I like how just her personality. I mean, I should probably just put them together because they're the same person. Yeah, it's only fair to put them together. They're the same person. Okay. Only a few more. This is the Chariot Arcana. Kazushi, or Kaz. Kaz, his thing is he's on the track team, like the Chariot Arcana from 5, Ryuji. And he gets a leg injury, and you have to encourage him to keep running on it and not give up. And like, he's told that if he keeps running on it, he'll never be able to walk again, and you encourage him to keep running on it no matter what. And he says that he promised his little cousin has to go through physical therapy after I think a surgery or something, and he promised his cousin if he wins nationals, then his cousin has to go through the physical therapy because his cousin's afraid to. Which is a really dumb, irresponsible promise. Even if he didn't have a leg injury, making nationals is a huge crapshoot. Or winning nationals. But that's why he won't give up. And eventually the team finds out and forces him not to run. And he realizes he was being dumb. And he'll run next year when his legs heals, which won't affect nationals, but he had to go through physical therapy for his injury now, and so his cousin should too. I didn't love it. I didn't love how it was handled. I'm not going to put it... I'll put it in a C rank. Because I also don't really love him as a character. I'll put him below KSK. Okay. 5 more characters. This guy is... Which Arcana is he? He's the Tower. Mutatsu. Mutatsu is a monk you meet at a club, and he smokes and drinks a lot. And the social link mostly involves him telling you shouldn't be here, you being here anyways, and him telling you about how he screwed up with his marriage and his son and lost them both. And eventually it resolves with him...
I'm back, by the way.
Well, welcome back. Eventually it resolves with him admitting, or realizing he has to apologize to his family, admit he was in the wrong to try to atone for his screw-ups and win them back. And, I mean, that's Mutatsu. There's not much to say about him. He's cool. I love the smoking, drinking monk thing. But his story is fairly simple. I'd put him in a low B. Actually, a mid B, right there. But yeah, not much else to say on him. All you missed Inheritance was, I think you missed Kaz, the track team member.
Yeah, I took a quick, I was lurking, so I saw the positioning.
Okay. Yeah, no, Maya and Toriyami, I have no business ever questioning your Kawakami thing again, so.
Yeah, I mean, what can I say?
The only thing is I say I won't condone Makoto dating her, but I would date her.
Yeah.
And I just think she's absolutely hilarious. I want to also say, I didn't say it, I meant to say it. I didn't say it, but I told you before Inheritance that there is only one entire social link that I watched the entire thing again the second time for New Game Plus, and that was Maya's. Despite that also being the only one with no voice acting. So, yeah, I love that social link for some reason. I just love the chat speak and stuff. So she's just a big nerd. Okay, 4 more. Moon Arcana. Crap, what is this jerk's name? Well, I didn't just give away my opinion of him. Nozumi?
I was gonna say, is it Nozomi or Nozumi?
Nozomi? Suemitsu? I don't know. This little jerk calls himself the Gourmet King. You meet him and go out to get food with him constantly, where you have to praise him, and he overeats, gets massive cramps and other questionable health issues that make me think he shouldn't be eating 5 bowls of ramen in a row, and he probably needs a doctor. And then he makes some weird comment about some weird joke about his brother being dead, and that's like most of the ranks with him. But eventually you find out his he had a twin brother who was like the golden child, and he couldn't live up to him, and then his brother died, and so he tried to like use that chance to like make an identity for himself, and then also got involved in a cult, which is out of nowhere. He gets involved with a cult, which I'm assuming is the Nyx cult, but I don't know.
Yeah, probably. I don't remember off the top of my head.
I don't know. He tries to get you to buy, like, pay a bunch of yen to enter the cult. He's giving you a discount and stuff, and you call him out on it. And by how it sounded when I talked to you about this before, I think Reload must have changed it, because at like rank 9 conversation, without you even getting a chance to make a dialogue choice. No, you get a chance to make a dialogue choice, but both of them are basically calling him out for being in a cult. And neither of them make a difference. Either way, the Arcana gets reversed.
Oh, you did say that, yeah.
Yeah, and then you have to like save him from getting beaten up by some goons for getting a kid into the cult. And then it turns back to normal. That's all in the same rank. And which was very interesting. I wish they did more with that kind of thing. It gave me a little heart attack at first, because I was following a guide for the social links, and I was like, did I mess something up? What do you mean reversed? So, overall, I don't love him. He's better than Mishima, the moon one from 5.
Yeah, I said you remember the other moon.
Yeah, Mishima is a little asshole. This guy, to be fair, he went through a loss. He didn't deal with it well. He turned to overeating and making jokes about it, but I don't think he honestly... I think he was affected by it. And then he turned to a cult that told him that they're essentially promised eternal life. And he was like... I mean, his brother died. He didn't want to die too. He got messed up. He's like the ugliest example of what a loss can do to you. And I more feel bad for him than anything else. He's still going to be a C tier, as opposed to Mishima. I think I put an F tier when I did that. And he's going to be right there. But yeah. Okay. On to somebody way better, though. Tanaka. The Devil Arcana. Oya was the Devil Arcana in 5, and so from my understanding of the Devil Arcana, it's more or less making a sketchy deal. With Oya, it was making a deal with a reporter to, like, give information on the Phantom Thieves in return for, any little, information she can give you and stuff. For Tanaka, it's agreeing to be his apprentice after he scams you out of, in this one, I think it's 80,000.
It was 100,000 in the original.
I believe this one was 3 payments. No, it's 40,000 in this, because it was 2 payments of 10,000 and then one payment of 20,000. They really must have nerfed it.
Maybe it's not that high then. I'm thinking of Chihara. You need 100, right? For
Chihara was 100,000, yeah, and that was all at
maybe
once.
That's what I'm thinking about.
That was all at once too. That was rough. This was over 3 meetings. By the third one, he's like, "Are you a fucking idiot? Like, you're not getting this money back." In the original. Yeah. He was like, "Are you an idiot? Like, I just scammed you. I've been scamming you. You're never seeing this money back." And but then you continue meeting with him, and he's like, "Okay, well, fine. You can be my apprentice. I'll teach you all I know." And most of his social links involved with him explaining some really sketchy thing that, so giving you some really sketchy advice, then threatening you like never to tell anybody that you're helping him. And it was just so weird. He was like practically like mood whiplash in his conversations. But you do learn that he grew up very poor. He couldn't even afford shoes to school in the winter. And this is why he's so obsessed with making money. He's afraid to ever be that poor again, which I mean is a cliched story point, like story direction with a rich character, but still, eventually it leads to him being asked to donate money to a charity for orphans, which he at first thinks donating to charity is dumb, but then he like thinks about like, oh well, if I like help these orphans and they become super rich, then in my old age I can tell them I was the one that did that for them, and they'll take care of me. It's a perfect plan. And it ends with him donating a ton of money, donating 100,000, no, maybe it was 1,000,000 yen, I don't know. A lot of yen. Maybe it was more than 1,000,000 yen, to be honest, because that doesn't sound like a lot still. For someone as rich as him. But
yeah, I don't remember what it is.
Donating a ridiculous sum of money to charity, all of the media questioning like what his intentions are. Him, when asked to interview, essentially giving them the middle finger and not telling them his intentions. And I feel there was an implication that he genuinely was being charitable and just would refuse to like show that, like, because that's against the character he's built up. That's how I interpreted it. Either way, I love Tanaka's little jingle at the start of his show. Tanaka's just a great character. Now every time... what?
I was going to say, there's a fun fact about Tanaka's social link, is that in the FES port and below, you could hang out with him the night before the final boss fight, and it skips the final boss fight as if you beat it.
I assume that was an oversight.
Yeah, no, it's 100% an oversight. Well, that's so funny to think that it wasn't. It's like you hanging out with Tanaka single-handedly saves the world.
I mean, that'd be a funny story direction. And that's the ultimate deal with the devil, I guess. But
Yeah.
Yeah, not now when I'm watching this Persona 5 playthrough I've been watching, whenever they go to the home shopping network or home shopping channel, I always hear Tanaka's little jingle at the start of his thing. And I like to think that even though I know he's doing the black market website there, I like to think he's still also doing the shopping network. So, but either way, as y'all can see, I put him mid to high A right there, above Akinare, below Maiko. I liked him. He's a jerk, but I love him. High charisma jerk. Last social link, Yuko. The strength arcana. I don't remember what was strength in 5, but
the twins.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I had to look that up like 3 times. I kept forgetting who the strength arcana was in 5. Because I think I kept forgetting that they're in a social link.
Yeah.
But yeah, Yuko is the not the coach. What is she? She's the manager, I think, of the track team.
Yeah.
And her main little social link story is a group of kids from I think her neighborhood that look up to her and call her Auntie Yuko, and she doesn't like that because she'd rather be called Big Sister. They can't play. They've been playing at the mall because they can't play at the school playground anymore because they're I think 4th graders. The 5th graders won't let them play unless they can beat them in a race. And so she's like, okay, fine, I'll train you. It's going to be hard because they have more developed bodies, but like it's not impossible. And so she ends up coaching them. You help her coach them. And long story short, she ends up realizing after they win and stuff, she ends up realizing that she knows what she wants to do with her life, and she wants to be a fitness not teacher, but like a fitness advisor, something. Practically a coach. And yeah, her social link was kind of weird in that the whole time it kind of got teased that the romance thing, but also it never really outright did, unless you go with a romantic route. Like,
yeah,
the kids keep calling you her boyfriend, but she doesn't seem too flustered about it as much as like, no, he's not. Either way, I didn't actually love her. I don't know. I was indifferent or I didn't dislike her either. I'd probably put her in high C tier. She was a nice character. I just wasn't terribly invested. And out of the romanceable options, I feel like she's probably my last choice, unfortunately. And now only one character left. Makoto. Makoto doesn't really have an arcana. I mean, kind of the fool. Oh, Sohn! Welcome! Thanks for the raid. Let me shout out Sohn. You're playing Rental. I don't know what that is. Is that a game, or is there a category Rental? No, it's probably a game. You're probably doing your, I don't know what you're doing. Tell me about it, Sohn. But, and welcome, Raiders. It's a Steam game. It was indie. Oh, interesting. It's free. Interesting. Well, maybe I'll check it out. Welcome, Raiders. I'm Shad JV. I'm a variety streamer. We are currently doing a tier list for all the Persona 3 Reload characters, so we're doing massive spoilers, so if you want to avoid spoilers for this game, don't feel like you have to stay. But I'm otherwise a variety streamer. I do lots of Nintendo content and other content. We've been doing a Apollo Justice on Tuesdays usually, and an Ocarina of Time Majora's Mask randomizer on Thursdays. I do kind of all over the stuff. You want for raid me? You usually raid me. Yeah, because of the timing. Thanks for the raid zone. I hope all you doing well. Anybody that chooses to stay around. We're almost done, so I'd like to just try to finish off with one more person to put on the list, and that's the protagonist Makoto. So the protagonists are hard to place because they don't talk much in Persona games. They're kind of avatar characters, or more or less. They're meant to be you, which is why you get dialogue choices. But they still kind of have a personality. You think on these achievements? Oh, nice. Well, I hope you had fun. Yeah, the protagonists still have a kind of a personality, and you can kind of read it given the dialogue options, as well as kind of how they act in cutscenes and stuff. And like Persona 5, the protagonist Ren, I'd say, is a very charismatic, showy, like what's the word? Like acts like everything's he puts on a show.
Yeah.
He's spectacle. I don't know the right words right now, but I think I'm describing correctly. He's high energy. Makoto is almost like the opposite. Makoto is reserved, constantly with a MP3 player and headphones, which kind of give the implication that he's kind of not necessarily wanting to be social a lot of times, or at least is more introverted. That's at least how I'd read it. He's not only, I would say he seems emo, straight up Maya calls him emo. And the music thing makes sense with that. The time frame when this came out in the 2000s, emo was kind of mainstream around then. So this kind of plays to that time period. And it kind of also fits with a lot of the themes of the game. Emo being emotional kind of fits for the kind of like focusing on loss and how to get past loss, and as well as making the most of the time you have. As well as the ending of the game. That I won't say what happens to him in the very end, but though I don't know why I won't say it because I spoiled so much else. But he's definitely a very more laid back character, and you could even tell by like the color schemes of the game. The blue rather than the red of 5. The red's flashier. Red stands out. Blue, it's calm. It's a calming color. It's a relaxed, melancholy color. Mm-hmm. And like that's the kind of context we got to get for Makoto. We do, of course, have the story things and what happens to him in the end, as well as the fact that he kind of was housing the embodiment of death in his body for 10 years, just casually. But he's like, there's a lot to say about Makoto, but there's also not a lot to say. He's kind of the protagonists are what you make of them, and they give you vibes and energy, but you can kind of play them how you want. I didn't date everybody in this game, and honestly, it felt like Ren was the type to date everybody. In this, it felt like Makoto was not. Makoto, it felt like the type that he's fine having an intimate relationship, but he's not particularly caught up on having bonds other than that, like, they're beneficial. Like, kind of a little more of a, we happen to come across each other in our lives, and so let's leave it better than than before we met. And I feel like the focus on the bonds in Persona 5, a lot of them felt very transactional, which I think was intentional, as a lot of them ended with started with making a deal. And that was the whole confidant thing. That's the Phantom Thief thing. His felt more incidental. His social links are people who he just stumbled upon in their lives and happened to kind of just talk with. They thought he was chill. And he's not too bothered by it, usually. Anyways, that's my thoughts on Makoto. I like Ren as a character more because I like how dramatic he is. And Makoto feels more like how high school me was. If I met Makoto in real life, I feel like you'd be somebody that feels a little cringe. But he's also a high schooler, and high schoolers are a little cringe. I say that as a former high schooler. It's okay to be a little cringe. But overall, I do like him. I will put him in A rank. I'll put him right above Bunkichi and wife, and right below Elizabeth. And that's it. That's all the characters with portraits in Persona 3.
Woo.
That took, 4 hours? Always takes longer than I thought, but I end up summarizing a lot because I like to kind of give what I observed.
Mm-hmm.